YouTube at Sacktown Sports 1140.
It's time for Alan Stiles and Chris Watkins.
Yes, on a Monday, and what a beautiful Monday it is. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. And the Kings got their guy, DeMar DeRozan. All-star, one of the best scorers in this league, one of the purest scorers in this league, is coming to Sacramento. And we're breaking everything down as it pertains to the Kings. What happens next? Who's in? Who's out? What else do they need to do? What does this mean for the Kings? And, of course, we hear from you, 916-339-1140. Call line, text line, Sack Chat. Let's fire through it. Chris Watkins, how you doing?
Great, man. Fantastic. You could argue never been better. It finally happened. You know, we took our guesses on Wednesday if something was going to happen after striking out the previous weekend, and it felt right, man. It felt on Saturday you could feel all the positive momentum, and DeMar DeRozan now a Sacramento King, and seems like you've spared yourself from eating that pepper.
That's right. It's over now.
It's over.
And I told you it was never going to happen.
I was wondering if people were going to today be like, oh, are we sure DeMar? Like, if we were going to have to try and protect it, I'm glad we don't.
No, we don't have to protect it. There are different guys, no disrespect. If it was only Cam Johnson or Dorian Finney-Smith, we would have been in an interesting situation. But that is not the case, as DeMar DeRozan, a sign and trade with Harrison Barnes making his way back to Texas to play with the Spurs. And Wemby, not really a bad swan song for Harrison Barnes with Victor Wembanyama and CP3. What type of noise will they make? I think it's a respectable team. We will give our flowers to Harrison Barnes a little bit later in the show in the 11 o'clock hour. But right now, it is all about DeMar DeRozan and how everything materialized and how you are feeling. They said it could have been done. Now all of a sudden, they're saying, oh, it's not enough. Or it's a bad fit. Oh, the spacing, this, spacing, that. We will get into all that, but right now, it is just about how you felt in that moment when DeMar DeRozan chose the Sacramento Kings. All right, Chris, let's go through the kind of the play-by-play and the days on how everything kind of broke down.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like an eternity ago, but I mean, it was all the way back on Tuesday when Mark Spears had that initial report of the Kings being. It was so weird. It was in the middle of NBA Today. They were doing their spin the wheel segment where it essentially lands on a team, and then you give. I think it honestly might even be 24 seconds on just a take you have or thought on the team. And Nate, did you say we got this? Cool. Yeah. And this is literally how DeMar DeRozan entered the radar for the Kings at all. No one had heard anything. And then Mark Spears dropped this little nugget.
Director Kathy, let's go.
They're a dark horse to get DeRozan. I want to see the Kings do something, make some moves, get back to the postseason. The Kings will be back in the postseason next year. They got a move coming soon.
All right.
So that
started it.
Literally says DeMar DeRozan, dark horse, and expect the news. And that started it all. And then as we kind of got off on Wednesday, I guess, it still wasn't concrete at all. I mean, I feel like Wednesday's show, we were mainly still talking Kuzma. We were still talking Laurie. We were still talking the possibility of Brandon Ingram. And then the next day on Thursday, Woj kind of starts to heat things up on the Kings front.
So he's trying to get a deal at a number that he wants, 20, 25 million a year. Sacramento is a team certainly with interest. I think this is going to play out over a period of time. Again, the Bulls are willing to work with the team on a sign and trade, but the Bulls don't necessarily want to take contracts back. They'd have to find a third team to take on the money to make it work with a team like the Kings or some others. I think the DeRozan market is going to play out over the month of July.
Okay. So that happens, right? And that's Friday. We go into the weekend and we're okay, what's going to happen? And then basically it breaks that he's in the building. Yep. He is in Sacramento. He is in the heat. Everybody is trying to figure out when that happened. And at that point, even prior to that, a lot of people, and shout out to everybody in Sacramento and Kings media, basically at that point, it was turning into, okay, if all of this is happening, something would have to go very, very wrong for this to go left. It feels like this is where he wants to go. They have the assets to make it happen. The Spurs are willing to play ball, and in part, and we'll get to all the flowers that DeMar DeRozan's former coaches have had for him. But some people said, hey, the Spurs like DeMar DeRozan so much, they're still willing to help him get somewhere. Mm-hmm. Whether that's really what they wanted to do or not, who knows? I mean, yeah. But they did, and they helped facilitate it. They got something out of it as well. And then on Saturday, 7/19, you have Woj tweeting the Sacramento Kings agreed on a sign and trade that will land DeMar DeRozan on a 3-year deal, send Harrison Barnes and a 2031 first-round pick swap to the San Antonio Spurs, and Chris Duarte, who we will spend a little bit of time on Chris Duarte later in the show, 2 second-round picks in cash to the Chicago Bulls. And that's pretty much it. That Friday was a bit weird to me, Chris. Weird. Friday was, okay, nothing really happened.
Right. No,
right?
Nothing happened.
Nothing really happened. We're trying to, okay, what's the deal here? I know personally I was in Napa getting ready to drive on back home.
I thought the 2031 pick was a joke. I thought it was so far out. And then it was misquoted as 2032, correct?
I think so. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Initially. Yeah. It was very, very confusing when it first got out.
So then after all that, the Kings are able to get DeMar DeRozan, and then this is Woj kind of breaking down the whole signing.
Well, certainly, I think DeMar DeRozan has played his last game for the Chicago Bulls. The one team that's been dug in with him and trying to find a sign and trade scenario, the Sacramento Kings, they've been talking this week, and they're going to need a third team involved in a sign and trade. Chicago. Here, the Kings were the one team with real interest beyond their mid-level exception in DeMar DeRozan. So they were pretty persistent in the last week of trying to get Chicago engaged in this sign and trade. Listen, when you trade for DeMar DeRozan, especially as he's about to turn 35, you are trading for offense. He can still score the ball. You have certainly seen his defense deteriorate as he's gotten older, but this is still a 24, 25-point-a-game scorer. The Kings look at the West. They see other teams improving, and they moved Harrison Barnes out, who played a significant role in getting this team back into the postseason, but they still believe DeRozan has some good basketball left in him, and now he'll take center stage with De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, and this is a team in Sacramento that wants to get out of the play-in and back into the playoffs.
So here are the contract details. 3 years, $75 million. Third year on DeMar DeRozan's deal with Sacramento is partially guaranteed. The first 2 years are guaranteed at $49 million. That is per Sean Cunningham. And we can talk about it, Chris. I mean, we can go back and forth on the market for DeMar DeRozan because some people are saying, well, the Kings just paid more than other teams. But I would say from Sacramento's perspective, there was a time when that wasn't enough, right? There was a time where you had that Sacramento Kings tax, and it wouldn't make a difference because people still didn't want to come to Sacramento. So if you overpaid a little bit for DeMar DeRozan, or people feel like that on the AAV, the annual salary, that's all fine and good. You get the talent in the building, you figure it out later, and they still have a move on their MLE that they can make to continue to strengthen the roster. I wouldn't say that they're done, and we do have some skeptics out there that we'll get into a little bit later. And I know there's some Kings fans that are skeptics.
I can't wait to hear them.
And maybe it's less about skeptics, and more about, well, you can't be done yet, which I would agree with. Yeah. But all in all, give the flowers to Monty McNair for getting it done, and not just Monty McNair. Everybody knows on this show, if you've been listening, that we're not homers. Okay, we are home of the Sacramento Kings, but that does not make us homers. And we've been tough on De'Aaron Fox, and we've been tough on some of the leadership questions that we've had on this team. But when it comes out that De'Aaron was one of the main ones, so if De'Aaron is not worried about the spacing, that's what cracks me up about fans and I guess talking heads when it comes to sports. They pick and choose when they feel like you should listen to somebody that plays, and when they think that they know better, right? If they agree with that person, then it's, hey, that person, he played, so why would you question it? But if you don't, all of a sudden it doesn't matter. So you're telling me that guys that get paid millions and millions of dollars, right, and Monty McNair and Mike Brown and the rest of that front office, De'Aaron Fox, who's going to be playing with DeMar DeRozan, who has played against DeMar DeRozan. So they're not worried about the fit.
Right.
But Joe12345 on Twitter is worried about the fit. So all of a sudden, it's a question mark. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's funny to me how people pick and choose when that matters.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I think these guys definitely feel like they can get it done. I think De'Aaron sees that he needs help, especially with on ball and in the fourth quarter. Like, I'm sure he definitely loved being that clutch scorer, but it's always great to have somebody else to help. And I think we saw too many times last year, De'Aaron feeling like I have to go into superhero mode in order to save this game. Taking that last game of the season, not the Pelicans game, but I think that game, he shot like 15 threes or something crazy like that. And I think DeMar helps him at least mentally alleviate that kind of stress that the world is on his shoulders. It'll be nice for him to, I think, feel like, hey, I've got another guy that, and I'm sure he trusts Malik to that level too, but it's just additive. It's another guy that I feel like, hey, we need a bucket. He can go get me a bucket. Spacing be damned. It doesn't matter. This dude can score from anywhere. I think it's great that De'Aaron was a part of it all.
Coming up next, we continue the conversation and what we have on the show for you today. And we open up the phone lines, 916-339-1140, the biggest free agent signing in Sacramento Kings history. Is it up there? Is it number one? Is it number two? Is it number three? Let us know how you feel and what else do the Kings have to do. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
The Sacramento Kings play here.
He's got the triple. Sacramento takes the lead. Outstanding ball movement by Sacramento.
Every triple, every jam, every Kings win.
Sabonis with the jam over the Joker. He's got the three-point shot.
Get your Kings fix all season long.
Right here on your home of the Sacramento Kings.
Here's a steal by Fox, a breakaway. He's got the rip with the left hand.
Sacktown Sports at sacktownsports.com.
Presenting a Game Flings love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Game Flings. Try Game Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs. You sound very calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees. Ooma. Nice. Find your business calm at ooma.com/radio.
Sacktown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
In the kitchen. Monty McNair has been in the kitchen from the 209. Let Monty cook. He is in the kitchen cooking. Let the man cook from the 209. Without money or money, we wouldn't be here having these discussions. In the kitchen getting DeMar DeRozan, a Sacramento King. We just went through the timeline. Now let's get to your feelings. How are you feeling, Sacramento Kings fans? All of you that have complained about Harrison Barnes, Chris included, myself included. How are you feeling today? It's so funny and Austin Slater, much different level, but Austin Slater is gone from the Giants now.
Right.
He's another polarizing guy that people like to complain about. So you have him gone. You have Harrison Barnes gone. So what do you do now? You have nothing to complain about now. I'm sure you can find something. 916-339-1140. We already talked about what that situation looked throughout the week and the weekend. We'll have Will Gottleib of CHGO Sports. He's a beat writer for the Bulls. That is coming up at 11. Also get to Devin Carter's shoulder injury. Big deal, little deal, or no deal. And honestly, I mean, it's a little – I'm bummed, Chris, but this happens all the time. I don't like the surgery part of it, but these kids, they go straight from March Madness, and then they keep working out because you have the combine, you have different things, and then you get drafted, and after that, oh, by the way, my shoulder's jacked up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not just him. I know there are a couple. Bronny now all of a sudden has knee inflammation.
Right. Yep.
Dalton Connect's been a complete brick.
Yeah.
So he's healthy, but he just can't make a shot right now. So this happens a lot with these kids. I think I saw Tejas Salon isn't playing either.
Yeah.
He's not playing either.
Stephon Castle didn't play the game yesterday.
So it's a weird situation, but we'll discuss whether it's a big deal, little deal, or no deal. We'll get to Malik Monk officially signing his new contract and what this means for Malik getting DeMar DeRozan. And also after that, why Malik chose to stay in Sacramento. We will say farewell to the Black Falcon. We'll talk about the haters, people that are not a fan of the DeMar DeRozan trade. We might, but by the way, we might have, and his DMs are open, Chris, and I said something which wasn't terrible. I said this person was engagement farming. But then after I posted it, I realized we might want this guy on the show. So I think we're going to have to use the main account, Nate, to try to get this guy on the show because he's not going to respond to me. Okay. We probably shouldn't tell him that it's me, but I accuse him of engagement farming because I don't know if you saw this, but he gave the Kings a D-.
Oh, that guy. Let's do this, Alan. Have you ever engagement farmed?
I would never.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to own up to it and say you did.
I would never. I
thought you were going to say everyone did. You don't even know what it means. You're accusing someone.
Oh, I know what it looks like. I know what it looks like.
All right.
I know what it looks like. I'll tell you that much.
I thought it would.
I mean, look. The bottom line is there are ways to say.
He's definitely trying to get clicks for sure.
Yes, that's all I'm saying. And this is Sam Quinn of CBS Sports. He gave the Kings a D-. Okay, he gave the Kings a D-. And that's what I'm talking about, though. And that's what I'm talking about.
Why not just give him an F at that point?
Right.
What's the point of the D-?
So we're going to try to get
F2 clickbait.
That's too clickbait. No, the minus.
You have to figure out what made it not quite an F.
So we're trying to get him on the show at some point, and I don't think he's going to respond. We also have a power ranking from Monty Poole, who writes for NBC Sports. He's mostly a Warriors guy, which would explain why he has the Warriors still above the Sacramento Kings in 2024. After that season, we love Monty. He's been on the show before.
Yes.
We will break down his breakdown of not just the Western Conference, but all of the different, avenues as far as what the Kings are doing just in the landscape of the NBA. But just to get back to the DeMar DeRozan thing.
Yeah.
And we're gonna break down the fit. We're gonna break down all of it. But as it stands right now, because Chris, I really don't know if there's gonna be another move or not. Mm-hmm. And as it stands right now, and we said we were gonna do this a little bit next week, and we'll probably have Brendan on later in the show. But I do think there is a world now where, as it stands, you probably still need Malik Monk coming off the bench. Am I crazy? Yeah. If Herter stays on the team.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is still not it still makes as the same reasoning that he's been coming off the bench would still apply now, to your point, if not even more so. Now that DeMar's in that starting lineup, presumably, I think it's a safe assumption to say that. That's a guy who essentially is doing all the things that we were afraid Malik Monk would bring to the starting lineup. Potentially somebody who is stopping the flow of everything, and maybe somebody who's not going to get as many touches as he should because he does have to spread the ball out a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it makes even more sense for Malik to come off the bench now. And even if Kevin is moved, I still think that there's a good shout for Keon Ellis to get that spot. And it makes sense because he's a low usage guy who can just kind of stand in the corner. And I would much rather have, Keon doing that and not taking away from Malik's time where he can really be high usage. I think that definitely is something that we're gonna have to monitor here because Malik did have some comments the other day that suggest he might force his way into the starting lineup if he feels necessary.
I think it would be either electric or clunky.
Yes,
those are the two options for me because it's either going to be wow. There are just too many options on this court. Or what's going to happen is if you start Malik Monk, I think that Malik, because of having De'Aaron and now DeMar DeRozan, I think Malik just, honestly, he turns into another Keegan. I think he turns into a spot-up shooter.
100%, yeah.
Because he doesn't
I'd rather have Keon do
that. They don't need to create.
Yeah.
Keon, I believe Brendan Nunez put out, Keon shot 42% on catch and shoot threes last season. I think if you're Malik, you have two options. If you really want to force the issue, you could start, but you starting isn't going to be the same player you were as the sixth man because you're going to have less freedom. Because DeMar's got to eat. Sabonis has to eat in a different way. We know De'Aaron's got to eat. So you're now third on that list. Or you can be first as a sixth man and continue to do what you do. So I don't know, because if I'm getting my timing correct, Malik had that press conference right before the signing, right?
Yeah.
So I think Malik is
the trade. Yeah,
the sign and trade. So I think Malik is real enough to realize, okay, I wanted to start. And that's what's been so funny about, or I don't know if funny is the right term, but these guys, when you make your roster better, usage gets a little bit interesting. De'Aaron turning down his extension, basically to try to get that supermax, but to also see how the roster turns out. Well, you have to be first team All-NBA or defensive player of the year or MVP, right? So you add them. It's a very fine line. And maybe De'Aaron thinks DeMar DeRozan is that perfect line to where these people out here, Sam Quinn, whoever it is, saying it's not enough. Maybe De'Aaron's thinking it's enough for when I do need that help, but it's also going to help the team be better, because you ain't winning first team or your All NBA if you are what, 6 seed or below. Something like that. It's just
All NBA. It's any of the All NBA teams,
right?
It doesn't have to be first team.
Sure. So you still have to be in. It gives you a better chance to be in contention. And then after that, if you're Malik Monk, I'm going to take less money to stay in Sacramento so we can build this thing up. Okay, Malik. Well, we built it. But because we built it, now it makes more sense to not be in the starting lineup. So all these guys, you want what you want, and it's for the betterment of the team, but they're going to have to make some sacrifices.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're going to have to figure it out. And I mean, we're going to talk about it later, but I wonder, the starting thing is one question, but with DeMar being one of the best, if not the best finisher in the NBA in the fourth quarter, is Malik in the closing lineup? Because that was really the saving grace for telling Malik, hey, don't worry about being in the starting lineup because you're ending the games. And so I think it's an interesting conversation of if Malik is still in that group, because DeMar definitely does complicate things. I'm pretty sure, again, it's more just additive, but I think there are some clunky fits there that we do have to wonder about.
You're right. And I think the only way to figure it out is to have the three of them play together and see how it looks.
Absolutely.
Because I've never been in the camp of, this is not about Kevin Huerter. This is about roster construction. This isn't about me trying to protect Kevin Huerter, as we've heard in the past. Oh, hey, well, he just does better as a starter so he can get going, and Malik doesn't need that. I'm not going in that direction. I'm just simply talking fit. And I'm simply talking the best use case for the three of their talents, as in DeMar, De'Aaron Fox, and Malik Monk. And it might be too much of the same thing. But, hey, it's a good problem to have.
That's what they told the Warriors. Not that this is the Warriors, but they said there's only one ball, and they figured it out. And I would say just sometimes basketball has a great way of figuring it out if you have the right chemistry.
Yeah, and especially because DeMar DeRozan has become a better three-point shooter. So I know the spacing is a big question for everyone, but I do think it's a little bit overblown. All right, coming up next, we discuss how the Kings sealed the deal with DeMar, a story from The Athletic from our guy, Anthony Slater, breaks it all down. And we continue to take your calls, your texts, your Sac Chat, 916-339-1140, 916-339-1140. Stiles Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Did you miss any part of our live local shows? Don't worry, you never have to miss them again. Check out SacktownSports.com and search our podcast page and play our shows when you want. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and The Drive Guys. Plus, other podcasts like Return of the Empire, Return of the Roar, The Stingers Up Podcast, and Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
They're all available right now on SacktownSports.com.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
I always do my best to prep for summer, but sometimes things just come up. And when they do, Kohl's and their great prices are always there for me. I just shot their summer cyber sale and saved big on everything I was missing, like summer must-haves under $15, floor care essentials for 50% off, and kitchen appliances for 30% off. Plus, I earned Kohl's cash. So no matter what happens the rest of the summer, I'll be ready. Thanks to Kohl's. Select styles. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Power Business Technology is proud to be 100% independent, locally owned, and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a 2022 Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer. Contact us today for all of your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com.
The wild-eyed Southern boys are back. 38 Special. Rocket into the night. Friday, July 19th at 7:30 at the venue at Thunder Valley. With Lou Graham, the original voice of Foreigner. Tickets on sale now. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. Don't miss 38 Special live.
Got a drain that's clogged up? Or maybe a toilet? Or a faucet that just won't quit leaking? Kenny and Jerry here from Bell Brothers, and we want you to know that it does make a difference which plumber you call.
At Bell Brothers, we respect your time by showing up when we say we'll be there. Our technicians are all background checked and drug tested, and will greet you with a smile.
They're trained to do the job right the first time, and they carry over 1,000 parts on their trucks, so they won't have to order something and then come back later.
They leave the work area cleaner than they found it, and your final bill will be the same as they quoted. That's why they call us the No Surprise Guys.
So if you need a plumber, it does make a difference who you call. Call Bell Brothers. Our number is 916-444-1234, or find us online at thenosurpriseguys.com. That's 916-444-1234, or find us online at thenosurpriseguys.com.
The No Surprise Guys, Bell Brothers.
Local. Live and local. This is Sacktown Sports.
They said Sacramento isn't the place that people want to be. They said there's a tax. They said that the Kings just aren't good enough. They said Monty McNair couldn't get it done. They said people don't want to play with Sabonis. He stat pads. They said De'Aaron Fox isn't elite. They said Keegan Murray isn't there yet.
They said we got a bunch of losers on the walls.
They did say that. We got a bunch of losers on the walls. That episode was on again yesterday. I purposely didn't watch because there's no more losers on the walls.
Yeah. Oh, come on, John.
Wow. Come on, John.
Come on, John. Don't say that.
DeMar DeRozan chose the Sacramento Kings. He chose Sacramento. He chose Doko.
That's right.
He chose Natomas.
Yep. Oh, well. Yeah, sure.
He chose, what's another one?
Elk Grove.
Elk Grove.
Fair Oaks.
He chose Folsom.
Folsom. Sure, that's far enough.
Citrus Heights.
Roseville.
Citrus Heights.
Antelope.
Rockland.
Probably not North Highlands.
Lincoln.
Where else?
I think that's pretty much Sacramento proper. I don't know if he chose Yuba. Yuba's stretching.
Yuba.
Why not?
It was Frankie's birthday.
Yeah, that's true.
William Land Park.
Oh, absolutely.
He wants some. What is he? Some William Land Park. What are the foods out there?
DeMar,
I know you're listening. Anymore. We're working on getting him on the show.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the barbecue spot?
There's not really
the one you told me about.
The one I told you about. There's not one.
Arden. Somebody said Arden.
Of course, Arden. Shout out.
Mall.
The mall.
Yeah. He chose Gumbo King.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Cheesecake Factory.
Cheesecake Factory. No,
there's a lot of those.
He chose what's the one on the lake? Crawdads.
Crawdads on the river. Oh,
Crawdads on the river.
Oh, yeah.
I just went to the new one.
There's Crawdads on the lake.
Yeah. He chose Urban Roots.
That's right.
209 is saying Stockton. We giving it Stockton? Did he choose Stockton?
I hope so. I don't want him playing for the Stockton Kings, to be honest. So I hope he didn't choose Stockton.
He chose Old Sac, someone says.
Old Sac, yeah. Why not? You know what? Yeah, he chose Stockton. Why not?
South Sac. Where else did he choose?
We're just picking.
Yeah, the bid is.
He chose Tiger.
Okay.
Nose diving.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, DeMar.
Thank you, DeMar. He chose Frank's Fats. That's the last one. There you go. From the 279, DeMar's from Compton. He chose North Highlands, Del Paso Heights, Oak Park, West Sac. That's why he chose Sacramento.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But can I just say something though? And I know
sure.
The coming home thing. We are in the depths, and I don't know. Like I said, I'm still getting used to the Sacramento situation. But in the Bay Area, we hate SoCal.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, that's what I thought. We were all on the same page. So the whole he's coming home to California.
Yeah.
It's a little stretch. It's a little stretch
it's a little
Armstrong.
Outsidery.
It's a little stretch Armstrong-y.
Yeah.
Where does it stop now? Where does it stop? If we can do 6 hour, 7 hour, 8 hour difference.
We got to take what we can get.
I just don't think it's necessary. He came home.
A nice tie. It more speaks to Sacramento and our lack of not Sacramento's, but the fact that we aren't really involved in pop culture like that often. The smallest little connection, we'll take it. Absolutely.
If somebody was from, let's say, Reese Hoskins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. For sure.
Reese Hoskins.
Yep.
All right. He signed to the Padres. We're gonna say he came home.
No, definitely not.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely not.
But DeMar came home, and it's gonna be his new home now.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be his new home now, and everything that DeMar DeRozan is gonna bring to this team and this city. Chris, I know it is something that we're not gonna forget. Even if, and that's the thing, right? A lot of people are having conversations about, okay, are they a championship contender? Are they this or that? There is still a group of Kings fans that are just happy that all of this is happening in their lifetime. And I want to give a shout out to them right now. Just a competitive team that is going to be in the mix, and I'm just enjoying it day by day.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. That's the best way of living it right there, is just understand. I mean, there was tons of people during the 17-year drought that were saying, yeah, exactly what you said. In my lifetime, I just want us to be competitive. I just want to have a team that I root for and is fun and doesn't bring me sadness. And, we've definitely gotten to that point. And it's crazy how, we've had DeMar DeRozan for 72 hours and we're already talking about the next move. What's going to be the next move? What's going to be the next move?
10 minutes later.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's insane. And, it's great. It's like Monty said at the end of the year press conference, like, I'm glad beating the Warriors and, a competitive play-in situation isn't good enough here. But, there is an element of, for a second, I do think, to your point, we need to take a breath and say, wow, like, this might be the biggest signing that the Kings have ever had in their, at least specifically in their Sacramento franchise history. But you can definitely, I'm sure, argue for their entire franchise history. And yeah, that might be a little crazy because DeMar isn't one of the all-time greats, but that also is a little symbolic of where Sacramento has been. And so I think it's definitely something, like you said, that we do need to take a second, enjoy, and just say, yeah, we might not be the guaranteed number one seed here, but we're talking about the Kings pretty definitely being in a playoff situation here, and that just shouldn't be something that's taken for granted.
All right, Chris, let's get to this Anthony Slater article. He's one of the best in the biz.
Oh, yeah.
Friend of the show. And he breaks down
everything,
really how all of this went down, essentially, and specifically when DeMar got into the building and everything the Kings did to get this done.
Yeah, this is absolutely great work by Anthony Slater here. He was in the building when DeMar was there on Saturday and got a great video of DeMar walking out from the tunnel. Definitely go check that out. But yeah, he outlines everything here from the moment DeMar DeRozan literally stepped off the plane to land in Sacramento. He writes, when DeMar stepped off the plane, he was met by Jay Triano, the Kings' lead assistant coach, who also so happens to be DeMar DeRozan's first NBA coach. He then goes on to tell a story of back in 2009 during the pre-draft process when Jay Triano and then Raptors GM Brian Colangelo flew to Oakland to watch DeRozan work out in the pre-draft. And they were so impressed that they promised DeMar that if he was available with the 9th pick, they'd select him, and then eventually did. So their relationship goes all the way back. Slater writes that Triano maintains a great relationship with DeRozan after coaching him in his first 2 seasons. and it gave him a sense of familiarity the second he landed. They also had several veteran players and assistant coaches, including Leandro Barbosa, reach out. He spent 2 seasons with DeMar in Toronto and pitched him as well. So this was clearly, like we saw with Sasha Vezenkov, a all-hands-on-deck kind of recruitment. And the Kings, I know we call them the Kentucky Kings because they have De'Aaron and Trey Lyles and all that, but they really are starting to act like John Calipari days Kentucky with this recruiting pitch that they're on. DeRozan wanted, once he landed, to visit the city and the facility. Triano brought him in late Saturday morning. They spent much of the day hanging out with Mike Brown and Luke Laux along with Triano. They toured the practice gym, the weight room, and the arena. They chatted basketball. DeRozan then watched De'Aaron Fox go through one of his offseason workouts with Luke Laux. Fox and DeRozan then went to lunch. We have to get our best people on where they went to lunch.
That's what I'm saying.
That's all I was thinking when I read that. I was like, somebody saw them eating lunch and was like, I know a cook or one of the hosts or something had to have said, is that De'Aaron Fox? And like somebody had that scoop early and sat on it. So we need to figure out where it is that DeMar and De'Aaron ate. Definitely need to figure that out. Fox was a crucial part in the recruitment process, league sources tell Anthony Slater, and was an advocate of the move. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but just good on De'Aaron to kind of be taking more of an ownership role, as he put out there in the Anthony Slater and Sam Amick report earlier. I think a couple weeks ago about declining his extension, said a big part of I shouldn't say a big part, but a part of the reason why he was declining was he wanted to see the direction in which Sacramento was going to take their roster. And it's good that De'Aaron is actively trying to help them in that process. The Kings front office had to map out a creative way to make it work. DeRozan was searching to make more than $20 million a year. The Bulls weren't interested in taking money back in a sign-and trade, so they had to find a third team that would take on the contract of Harrison Barnes, and that's where the San Antonio Spurs came in with their flexible financials, and they were interested in adding HB to surround Wemby with Chris Paul as Wemby enters his second season. The Kings gave up a 2031 unprotected first-round pick swap, a risky move considering the expected rise of Wemby, but Sacramento has been thirsty to upgrade the present after finishing outside in so many recent deals. And then the final note here is DeRozan enjoyed his visit enough to agree to a deal later in the day. The terms were leaked at around 7 o'clock, and that appeared to be somewhat strategic. After about 15 minutes of the news breaking, DeRozan and Kings owner Vivek Ranadive emerged from the home tunnel at Golden One Center right before tip-off of the California Classic and were met with a standing ovation. And Nate, do we have what that sounds like? It's okay if we don't, but it was absolutely raucous. I mean, we just talked about if they're going to play not like us every time DeMar plays. They already did. It was a really, really cool moment, and definitely a moment in Kings history for sure. That's a summer league game.
Yeah.
That is a summer league audience right there.
Yeah.
And definitely was a moment that I think a lot of people will not forget.
Yeah, and the whole breakdown, it makes it very clear, again, going to all the question marks of fit and things like that. These are some of the best basketball minds, in the world. And if they feel like they want to do all this to get DeMar DeRozan, I trust them. Does that mean they're going to win the championship? No. It doesn't mean that they're not either. What it means is that they knew that something needed to be done.
Yep.
And if you're going to sit here and you're going to call 916-339-1140, you're going to text in, you're going to, be on the SAC chat, you're going to complain or whatever it is, they have to do something. Is it exactly what you wanted? Maybe, maybe not. But Chris and I, for the last month, have thrown out a collection of 15 guys, and there's been somebody that doesn't like each one of them each and every day. So the bottom line is I don't know that there was a perfect fit, but you got a guy who straight up chose Sacramento, likes the team, likes the city so far, likes everything about the organization. So let's rock and roll from there. It's that simple.
100%. Beggars cannot be choosers. This
No.
is not Chipotle. DeMar DeRozan is an elite player. And, I was thinking about it before I got in today. And, all the players we were talking about, DeMar DeRozan's a better player than Kyle Kuzma. You could make an argument that maybe Brandon Ingram's a better player. I would say that they're, at the very least, we can settle and say that they're in the same tier. Maybe you have Lauri Markkanen a bit ahead of him, but Lauri Markkanen, we know the price that you were going to have to pay to get Lauri Markkanen was going to be much, much higher than the one that they just paid DeMar. I just don't see how, if you were okay with really any of those names, I don't see how you're not okay with the Kings getting this. And, again, they still have a lot of different options to go from here. It's something that we liked a lot about the Kyle Kuzma option mainly was the flexibility it still allowed you after making that move. And this is still the case here with DeMar DeRozan. You still have, and they talked about it on the morning show, so I feel comfortable just throwing it out there. You still have Keegan Murray if you want as a trade chip. Yes, they got rid of the 2031 future first swap, but they still have a ton of other picks to work with as well. So I feel like this is an absolute no-brainer of a move. At the very least, it's a talent upgrade and some fail-safe in case one of your stars gets hurt for 15 or 20 games.
Coming up next, we continue the conversation. More of your calls, more of your texts, everything DeMar DeRozan. Also, we will have Will Gotley, Bulls beat writer for CHGO Sports. That is at 11. But let's talk about the king of the mini, DeMar DeRozan, by the numbers. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
The only place you'll find De'Aaron Fox is Sacktown Sports.
Spins away from the defender in the paint. Soft floater. That's a great play by De'Aaron Fox.
Hey, Sacramento, it's De'Aaron Fox, and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings, Sacktown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Imagine the most beautiful panoramic setting, endless waves crashing on a beach, kids playing in the park. Now, right smack in the middle of your perfect picture, imagine just one piece of litter. It doesn't fit, does it? And it simply doesn't belong anywhere, certainly not in California, not even one piece. Good news, if we work together, we will change it all. Clean California, zero litter is the goal. CleanCA.com.
Right now, you're missing all the fun at the Hagen Oaks Driving Range powered by Top Tracer. It's the place to be this summer in Sacramento. Whether you're an accomplished player or a newbie, there's something for everyone at the Hagen Oaks Nighttime Driving Range. Golf is happening right now, and the Hagen Oaks Driving Range is the perfect place to see what the fuss is all about. The Hangout Food Truck offers tasty bites and craft beers on the brand new relaxed patio, and with a free concert schedule, there's always something for everyone at the Hagen Oaks Driving Range. Join the fun tonight until midnight. Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway.
Increase leads and get more customers. We create tailored digital marketing strategies that deliver results. On your next campaign, aim higher. Go to aimyourdigital.com and get started today. aimyourdigital.com.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave inviting you to make the switch to electric this spring and save big with American Energy. Stay ahead of those spiking energy bills this summer with up to $9,000 in rebates on a new ultra-high efficiency comfort system. American Energy is providing huge rebates from SMUD as well as spring specials by installing one of many incredibly efficient AC options available to you right now. Get rid of those fluctuating gas bills in the winter and switch to year-round all-electric with American Energy. Let them perform a free in-home energy efficiency analysis and see where they can help you save for the warmer months ahead. These guys are the best. Been serving the greater Sacramento area since 1981. A+ from the Better Business Bureau. Learn more by calling 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990.
Call 916-520-9998 now.
It's the Folsom Lake Ford 4th of July Sell-a-thon. Get low finance rates and 0 down deals on approval of credit right now. Shop Folsom Lake Ford over 35 years in the Folsom Auto Mall and tell them Coach Doug Christie sent you.
Sacktown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sacktown Sports and subscribe.
From the 279, this can't be the end, because otherwise we will be fighting for 46 wins. That is from JP in Folsom. JP, he chose you! JP in Folsom. I don't know about fighting for 46 wins.
That's the exact amount of wins that they had last year, and I just feel like DeMar's a talent upgrade. I mean, I don't see how they're not
got
better.
injured.
Malik
Kevin
got
Huerter
injured.
got injured.
Seasons.
These things come in waves to me, Chris. And last season was a wave that was really high, right? Everybody was healthy. Everybody was firing on all cylinders, besides the Kings at the end of the season. Everyone was firing on all cylinders. The Mavericks made a trade. Yep. The OKC, they got better. Timberwolves figured it out. The Nuggets were the Nuggets. Paul George and Kawhi were healthy. Mm-hmm. So many things went right in the Western Conference last season. It's really hard for me to see the same thing happening. I just don't see how the Clippers are going to be better.
I don't either.
And I know they got some pieces. Yeah. Your boy Derek Jones Jr.
Yeah. Wonderful arena.
Wonderful arena. It's going to be beautiful.
State of the art.
Yes, but there will be no Paul George in there. Okay. The Nuggets have been really quiet. The Nuggets are kind of stuck.
Yep.
And
definitely.
They had a bit of an early exit.
Anything.
They haven't done anything. They lost besides losing KCP and Reggie Jackson.
Yep, that's it.
So what are the Nuggets going to do? Jamal Murray, yeah, it's cool if you play like an all-star when you get to the playoffs, but you got to get to the playoffs. And he really didn't play that well during the playoffs this past season. So you have that. I'll give you OKC. And to your point during the crosstalk, they're an injury away. They're an SGA injury away from not having a dude.
Yep.
Okay. And I know they actually played pretty well without SGA towards the end of the season.
Sure.
And not that we think anything's going to happen. They're really reliant on SGA. And maybe, yeah, sure, I'll give you the Timberwolves. I don't know what Rob Dillingham's going to do this season, but you still got Anthony Edwards. Yep. You still got Gobert. You still have Karl Anthony Towns for now. So I'll give you that. But this idea, I just cannot see it being possible. Very similar to when Aaron Judge broke the American League record. What was that, 2 years ago? Then the next season, he did not do that.
Right.
He's balling this season,
but
it is hard to be that hot every single season.
Yeah.
What did we see in 2023?
Right.
You saw the opposite.
Yeah.
Then you saw everybody get good again in 2023, 2024. I just don't see all of that happening.
Yep.
Now, yes, Memphis is going to reappear. The Rockets will be better. I really don't know what the Warriors are going to be.
Yep.
I don't know what the Lakers are going to be, but they're going to both continue to try to get better. There's still plenty of offseason, but you just can't convince me right now to add someone like DeMar DeRozan and his efficiency and his scoring prowess and his basketball IQ. You're not going to convince me that his availability. You're not going to convince me that the Kings are going to have basically the same record as last season. You can't convince me that.
Yeah, I have a tough time seeing it. I mean, I just think that, even if this is the only move, I think that they've gotten better. I mean, they really haven't lost much of their impact players. I mean, it feels like everything that they've lost, they've gained back and then some. So I just can't see it. And I don't think the West has dramatically improved. I mean, we were meaning to do a segment a couple weeks ago when free agency was really kicking off about, did the West get worse? It feels like the East kind of did take some of the West stars. Of course, some move from East to West, like DeJounte Murray. But to me, it feels like there's a good two to four teams that I think people are confident are going to be fairly good next year. I don't see any reason why the Kings aren't at the top of that next tier, and if not, have the capability of sneaking into those top four. I think that, especially just right now, I think they're just as suited as as just about anybody else in the West. There's a couple teams, of course, like you said, Minnesota, that just make more sense, but they're not guarantees. And I think the Kings have done a great job, at least here, of shoring up that they're going to be a really good team next year.
And I have no clue what to do with Dallas. I guess I didn't bring up Dallas, but I don't know what to do with Dallas.
They got hot at the second half of the season, but we'll see if that continues.
You add Klay Thompson.
Add Klay Thompson 100%, but that'll take some time to get adjusted to as well.
Yeah. So here are the numbers from DeMar DeRozan. He is ridiculous from the mid-range. He led the league last season with 6.9 mid-range field goal attempts per game and made them at a 43% clip. That led to a total of 235 made mid-range buckets. The Kings, as a team, made 289 mid-range field goals, and how many of those were from De'Aaron Fox last season? 6th fewest in the league. De'Aaron Fox led the team with 82 field goals in the area, but did so on 37.1% shooting. And this is for everybody that has been on our heads about the three-pointers. Too many three-pointers. We need something else. We need another layer. Here's your layer. Here is your layer to everybody who's ever called in, texted in, and wanted to talk about too many threes. This is the counterpunch. The Kings finally got their counterpunch. All right. We know he's the king of the midi, and as a shot creator last season, 65.2% of DeRozan's field goals were unassisted. That would rank behind only De'Aaron Fox on the Kings last year, who was 67.5%. Because I love you all, and this is from Chris, by the way. I didn't do this math for you.
This is actually, I'm going to give credit to Will Z Stats.
Will Z Stats. There you go. So basically, after you break down all of that, you have DeRozan had 424 total unassisted field goals last season, while Fox was at 486. And Chris, you have some of these clutch numbers.
Crazy, yeah. I mean, we talked about it earlier. De'Aaron, it was already one of the best clutch players in the NBA, and now you add DeRozan. DeRozan is one of the most clutch players in the league, and he has been the past couple seasons. It's not just this year. A lot of people even said that they kind of made the Clutch Player of the Year award for guys like DeMar and guys like Damian Lillard, who would just hit a crazy amount of game winners in a season, and it was like there needs to be some way of recognizing these guys. DeRozan in the last 2 seasons has totaled 341 clutch points, which is the most in the NBA, second to only De'Aaron Fox at 316. So the Kings have the 2 clutchest players in the NBA the past 2 seasons. I think naturally that's going to lead to some headbutting, but I think in the long run, it's more just going to be a lethal combination that they're going to figure out. And then the defense is something that I think has been an interesting talking point. A lot of people, on top of the spacing questions, have equal questions about DeMar's defense and are essentially saying, well, the Kings are giving up on defense. They're just going to go back to that bean team season and be the best offense in the league and a middling defense. Well, I'm not saying that that's not going to be true, but DeMar DeRozan has taken strides recently, even as a defender. In his first season with Chicago, DeMar drew just 1 charge over the entire season. Over his final 2 seasons, he drew a total of 23, ranking second on the team behind only Alex Caruso, who is a all-NBA second-team selection and has been an all-defensive team the past 2 seasons. And he had 26, so only 3 less than Caruso. And taking charges is definitely something this Kings team just hasn't done. I almost called him De'Aaron Mitchell. Davion Mitchell was really the best charge taker on the team. Trey Lyles does it every so often. But if DeMar can lead this team in charges, Keegan has also started to kind of throw that into his game as well. That could be a nice layer that this team can desperately use in terms of rim protection. It's something that actually DeMarcus Cousins kind of perfected. DeMarcus was not a leaper at all, wasn't really a great shot blocker, but he really mastered how and when to take charges, and that can be just as effective as getting a block.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I get the defense conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
But we don't know what else was available. We don't know what the other trade options were, right, or are right now, and they might not be done. So I'm just looking at it as, is he an upgrade over Harrison Barnes?
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I'm looking at this.
That's how you should.
You know, and
that's what it is right now.
And it's not a wild overpaid to me either.
No, I think it's totally fine.
You have the pick swap, so it's that simple to me. oh, well, and then you go out and you get somebody who's a brick but is really good at defense. It's really hard to find players that can do it all.
Exactly.
They're just not, and then
they're definitely not available.
And then you also don't want to give up Keegan Murray,
Right.
right? So you can't live in this world where you get these prototypical perfect players and you don't have to give up any of your assets. For Harrison Barnes, to get back DeMar DeRozan for Harrison Barnes in a pick swap, and Chris Duarte obviously in the second rounders. I just don't know how you are not at least feeling better about the situation. And that's being very, I guess, humble about it. All right. Coming up next, we have Will Gotley, Bulls beat writer for CHGO Sports. We will discuss his thoughts on DeMar DeRozan, what DeMar has left in the tank, and what the Bulls are doing out there. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Keegan, can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Drapes, Kyle Draper. As the proud sponsor of the Sacramento Kings Mop Crew, Alsco Uniforms offers certified hygienically clean lab coats, scrubs, bed linens, towels, floor mats, and an array of mops tailored for your healthcare facility. Our services include convenient delivery to your doorstep. Leading the way in healthcare laundry services in Northern California, discover why it pays to keep clean with Alsco Uniforms. Go to alsco.com to learn more. Again, that's alsco.com.
I would end the day with sore feet, sore legs. The drugstore inserts that I was purchasing were really not very useful at all. I walked into the Good Feet store and the guy kind of grinned at me and said, I hear that a lot. I was living with chronic pain before going to the Good Feet store. Now I don't really have that problem. I'm able to do the things that I expect to be able to do, even at my advanced age. I feel pretty good about what's going on.
The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, and Vacaville.
It's been said an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And when it comes to a nice, cool summer, it's so true. Right now, get a complete air conditioner tune-up for just $59. Bonnie, plumbing, sewer, electrical, heating, and air. Bonnie.com. Some restrictions apply. License 696-355.
Tune in to Sacktown Sports now through July 9th for all your coverage of the California Classic, brought to you in part by Fasteners Inc. DeWalt Power Tools. Tools at an incredibly low cost to you. Fasteners Inc. Tool Outlet. Better tools, better prices.
The Open Championship celebrates its 152nd anniversary this month at Royal Troon in Scotland. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. The game's top players assemble for a chance at the coveted Claret Jug. The Open Championship is about tradition, excellence, and class. And you'll find similar qualities at Naturewood Home Furnishings as they assemble the finest furniture and brand choices for your selection. When you visit Naturewood, you'll be amazed at the gallery of superior furniture available for your lifestyle, for your decor, for your home. This weekend during Naturewood's bedroom sale, you're sure to find the perfect piece you've been searching for. Naturewood is proud to bring you Open Championship updates on this station and proud to offer you the finest furnishings available. Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the Waterbury.
Where do you go when you need someone to represent you? For me, you want someone that is local and that you can actually get to and talk with. There are plenty of big branded lawyers out there with the name, but you never get to talk to them. So go to saclegaldefense.com and connect with the law offices of Jonathan Gonzalez. He's local, he'll represent you, and he'll have your back. Whether it's expungements, wrongful termination, when you're in a spot when you need legal help, call the law offices of Jonathan Gonzalez at 916-304-9187.
Tune in to Sacktown Sports now through July 9th for coverage of the California Classic. All the latest basketball news brought to you by Quick Quack Car Wash, proud partners of the Sacramento Kings. Visit your nearest Quick Quack Car Wash today.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, KHTK AM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento, the only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Sacktown Sports.
Promised, we are joined by Will Gottleib, Bulls beat writer for CHGO Sports. Will, thank you so much for joining us on this Monday morning. I guess it's technically afternoon if you're in Chicago.
Yep, afternoon for us, but excited to be here and talk some DeMar with you guys.
Yeah, let's get right into it then. Were you surprised when you saw DeMar leaving or where he decided to go, or did you know that he probably wasn't going to be putting a Bulls uniform on this next season?
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting process. He right after the season ended, it seemed like a lot of momentum for the Bulls to re-sign him. People were talking about like a 2-year kind of bloated $80 million offer. And then after the Bulls traded Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey and kind of seemed like they were going to start building towards more of a younger direction, it made a little bit less sense. Obviously, like they could have used Caruso to offload Zach LaVine's contract to open up more space to bring DeRozan back. That didn't happen. So after a certain point, it did kind of feel like the writing was on the wall. And, to your guys' credit, like the Sacramento beat was all over this for the last couple of weeks here, talking about DeRozan being a dark horse candidate, talking about him getting into the building there to talk with ownership. And so it just kind of happened, I guess, not super quickly, but it did start to build towards that. And I think it's a great fit for him. I think he's going to be really happy there. And the reception so far from the Sacramento fans has been great. So I'm glad he's getting that kind of love.
I think I saw that DeMar is the second highest points per game leader in Bulls history, obviously behind Michael Jordan. But, how do you think Chicago as a city is going to, and as a fan base, I guess, is going to remember DeMar's time there, both on and off the floor?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just incredible. He was so dominant. Just the point that he got to in his like basketball career, where he was just a complete master of his offensive game, really surgical, just like getting to his spots, incredibly efficient still. Even in this league where it's like all threes and dunks, he was one of the most efficient players playing from the mid-range. So he was really special to watch. I think to your point, he was one of the highest scoring points per game guys for the Bulls. And so I think, he will be remembered definitely fondly, but team success is a big part of that too. And the Bulls underachieved the last 2 years, only making it to the play-in. They made one playoff run while he was there in his first season. So, it was definitely time to move on. I think there was probably another world where DeRozan stays a little bit longer and the Bulls have a little bit more success. But like they really did need to start dismantling this and building towards a younger team. And so that was kind of the right move. But I think people and fans will look back on this fondly.
Talking to Will Gottleib, Bulls beat writer for CHGO Sports. Will, there have been fans and I guess haters, if you will, that have been discussing the defense for DeMar DeRozan. And we have Mike Brown over here, who is a defensive savant, but some of the pieces haven't been perfect to get the defense where he wants it to be. Do you think the questions about DeMar's defense are a bit overblown, or should we have some concerns there? Will switches be an issue and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not like an elite defensive player, but he's been a part of good defensive teams. 2 years ago, the Bulls were top 5 in defense, and obviously Alex Caruso played a big role in that. But like, it shows that he can be part of a good defensive infrastructure. He's playing alongside Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic. So obviously, like, you can kind of outperform the sum of your parts in that sense. I think offensively too, like he's not sort of this like trendy kind of flavor of the month offensive player, but I think that gets people to overlook how talented he actually is. And I think like he will slide in, he will make an impact on both ends. I think when he kind of locks in, he can definitely be, a good low man kind of helping protect the rim. And then offensively, just like, he's so dominant and he's so skilled that he can, I think, fit into any system. And I think just as a stabilizing force, like the Kings play so fast, they get up so many threes. that's great, but like you do need somebody that can kind of dominate and stabilize in the half court. And DeRozan's one of the best in the league in that. So I think those two things can kind of balance each other out, and for your guys, hopefully allow you to get to another level.
Yeah, Will, as I was kind of doing some initial research on DeMar, it sounded like the initial reception, I guess, of DeMar in Chicago, at least from the national perspective, was also kind of similar to what we're seeing now, that a lot of people questioned how the fit would be with that Bulls team. And how did that end up playing out? So I guess two-part question of, did you hear that as well, that in his initial signing with Chicago, that there was some questions on the fit, and then did those questions actually become true, or was it really a bit overblown?
Definitely. I think his free agency period was very similar in 2021 to what we just saw here happen in 24. There was not a big market. People were thinking about him going back to either the Lakers or the Clippers back home to play at the mid-level exception. And he kind of held firm and waited for a bigger offer to come in. The Spurs helped facilitate a sign and trade, obviously, with both the Bulls and the Kings this time around. So I think he just kind of played his market better and got kind of more than people were expecting. And so much of like evaluation from, fans and the media is about like, how much do you make, and not as much about how good you actually are. And so like, did the Bulls overpay to get DeRozan the first time around? Probably. They outbid a marketplace that wasn't really getting close to the number that the Bulls ultimately paid him. They had to give up a first-round pick in order to pull off that sign and trade, which they are now going to have to try to protect by landing in the top 10 of next year's draft. So did they overpay? Yes. But I don't think that necessarily made it a bad signing, just because of how much he brought to the table in terms of like bringing back some, recognition that was like a little bit more positive. The Bulls had been the worst team in the league for the last 4 years prior to DeRozan. So I think he just kind of elevated the organization and the perception of the organization to a point of respectability. And then on top of that, like, he was just so good that he basically wouldn't let this team get out of the play-in race. And you can say what you want about, like, is it, impressive to make the play-in the Eastern Conference? Not all that much, but I think things could have just gotten so much worse if not for DeRozan's stability and his just, constant consistency every day, coming in and challenging the younger players, taking them under his wing, helping develop them. I just think he does so many things that's beyond, the mid-range jump shots that I think a lot of people who are mostly just focused on kind of that element of the game can get lost with.
Talking to Will Gottleib, Bulls beat writer for CHGO Sports. Will, I don't know if you saw, but there have been some grades that have been given out for the trade. Curious, what grade would you give the Spurs, or whatever? We don't have to talk about the Spurs. What grade would you give the Kings in this trade, and what grade would you give the Bulls?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I think some of the grades were maybe a little bit low for the Kings. Obviously, they did end up having to give up, 2 second-round picks to get off of Harrison Barnes and Duarte. And then the pick swap, I think, in 31 is actually a pretty good asset for the Spurs. So I think the Spurs made out pretty well. As for the Kings, like, this deal in a vacuum, you can kind of quibble with it. But, like, I think to me, this is much better than going and giving up 2 first-round picks to go get Brandon Ingram, for example, and then having to give him a max extension worth $208 million. So to me, I think it's like a B+, A- territory for the Kings. They got a huge upgrade in DeRozan over Harrison Barnes. Like, no disrespect to him, but like, DeRozan is just that good. And I don't think they like really broke the bank in order to do that. They still keep a handful of their first-round picks to where maybe you go out and get a Kyle Kuzma player, somebody in that caliber. Maybe you flip that Kevin Huerter contract. So I like it for the Kings a lot. I think it still leaves some doors open for them to continue to improve, and obviously makes them a lot better. And for the Bulls to just get anything, I think, for a guy who was a free agent who could have left for nothing, 2 second-round picks, a flyer on Duarte, who I think could be kind of an okay role player for a rebuilding team. Probably not quite as prolific a return for them, but certainly not terrible. And I don't know how much more you really could have expected without them being the team that takes on the bad contract.
Well, I think I had seen something about DeMar having, I think it was Dalen Terry and Patrick Williams join him for some 5 a.m. workouts, and a lot of different stories of DeMar taking younger guys under his wing. Can you just, is there any specific stories that stick out when it comes to his leadership? Because that's really been a hot button topic here in Sacramento, is just, they need somebody who will actually take the reins of being the leader. There's a lot of unwilling leaders here. And I think the Kings were really looking for someone who would kind of take the reins and willingly take this team kind of under his wing. Is that something that you see DeMar potentially doing here?
1,000%. That was, I think, to me, more so than any of what he actually did on the court, his leadership, his, assistance with developing some of the younger players. Like, he really, I think, took on whatever role the coaching staff asked of him in terms of, trying to share usage with Zach LaVine when things first started, and Nikola Vucevic, who I think kind of occupies some of the same real estate on the floor to DeRozan. As you mentioned, the 5 a.m. workouts, he had Patrick Williams with him after his rookie year, Dalen Terry last year. He brought Dalen Terry to a Kendrick Lamar concert this summer. He's just like constantly working with some of those guys. He went to Ayo Dosunmu's jersey retirement in Champaign during an off day. And I think, even just like going into the locker room after games, you could find him like pointing things out. Or there was a point last year when Kobe White got the last shot in a game against the Cavaliers and missed it. It was like kind of a go-ahead bucket. And DeRozan just sat with him and rewatched the play and talked it over with him a handful of times after the game. So he just like goes above and beyond, out of his way to help younger players get better. I've actually talked with him a lot about this, and he just said, like, when I was a rookie, I was the only rookie on our team. It was a very much an older team, not a lot of young players. And I knew from an early age that like the importance of learning from your vets was so big for me in my development. And so I think he's always really taken that seriously and taken pride in that. And you see it with just like on a day-to-day basis, but then he can also be that guy that does it by example too, and takes over a game in the last couple of minutes and makes big shots. So he and Fox together, I think, will be outstanding in the fourth quarter. But I think just even beyond all of that, his ability to help a younger team come together and continue to grow, I think, is going to be huge.
Will Gottlieb, Bulls beat writer for CHGO Sports. Will, this has been awesome. Before we let you go, what is going to happen with Zach LaVine? I mean, look, and Chris and I have talked about Zach LaVine is a good player, but I know a lot of people do not want to take that contract, but it's getting a little bit disrespectful for Zach LaVine. He's a good player. Is he going to play for the Bulls again? I mean, now you got to give away first rounders. This is crazy.
It's honestly gotten to a point of just like, it's absurd. The business of the NBA, I think, does play obviously a huge part in how you value these guys around the league. Right. And so, especially with like the aprons and the new CBA rules, it's like, we don't want to take on a guy who's going to be, a second or third best player on our team for $43 million. I understand that. But I think with the injury last year, with the way that the team played while he was healthy, obviously with the contract, it's like all these things came together and made him look way worse than he actually is. He's a great player. He's a prolific scorer. He's had some really bad luck in terms of just the teams that he's been on, and just the talent around him has been not enough to really get to a point where you can get to the playoffs at a high level. So I hope that he finds a new landing spot, because time with the Bulls, I think, is just, it's time to be, time to be over with that. And hopefully he gets to a place where he can contribute at a high level. But yeah, I don't see an easy landing spot for him. The Kings were a team, I think, that had some talks with him. And obviously now with DeRozan, that seems like it's going to be off the table. So maybe the Lakers, maybe the Clippers, if they kind of cobble together some stuff and the Bulls give up an asset. But it's like the Bulls are heading into a rebuild now. You can't really be giving up picks when you're trying to be bad. And so it's a really tough spot. I think ultimately they kind of just need to let him get back on the court, play, and hope he looks a lot better, to the point where you don't have to give things up in order to get rid of him, because he doesn't deserve that. And, he should really go to a place that values him a little bit more. And I think just once he gets back on the court and people remember, oh yeah, this guy's actually a really good player, that could be a little bit easier.
Well, wishing you all the best, and your Bulls. Will Gottlieb, Chicago Bulls beat writer, podcaster for CHGO Sports. Be sure to follow him on social media, on X, on Twitter, at Will_Gottlieb. Will, this has been great. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Coming up next, we continue the conversation and whether or not the Kings are done. Anthony Slater says that they are still looking for something. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
What's the missing piece for the 49ers?
Which names will they add during free agency? Whether it's in season or off season, the coverage never stops. Get the latest 49ers news on Sacktown Sports and SacktownSports.com.
Slash presents Serpent Festival, a celebration of the blues. Friday, July 12th at the venue at Thunder Valley, starring Slash, Warren Haynes Band, Beautifully Broken, Samantha Fish,
Y'all kisses like a death wish,
and Eric Gales. It's gonna be a steep climb. Don't miss an all-star night of blues, Friday, July 12th at the venue at Thunder Valley. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. Serpent Festival.
18 number ones.
what was I thinking?
Countless ACM and CMA awards. Sold out world tours. And now Dierks Bentley is coming to Sacramento for Country in the Park 2. September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo with Parmalee, Dasha, Kelsey Hart, and more. Plus line dancing, food trucks, and more. Tickets available now at CITVFest.com.
Brought to you by Bonnie Electrical Heating and Air and the U.S. Marines.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sacktown Sports.
Great stuff from Will Gottleib. Be sure to follow him on social media if you're any double agents out there, Bulls fans. Somebody said that there were some either Bulls fans or Spurs fans in the Sack chat trying to talk trash and say that they won the trade. You know, I have heard a lot of people say that they feel like the Spurs won the trade just based on what the Spurs are going to be able to do now. I think Harrison Barnes, of course, now that he's left Sacramento, he's a really good player. And this is no disrespect to Harrison Barnes, but this is what people do.
Yep.
So Harrison Barnes
Graduation
now,
goggles.
right? The Kings are missing rebounding and defense. Right. This is from people that clearly did not watch the Kings last season. So you have that situation going on. Then obviously they get the pick swap from the Kings as well. So a lot of people are saying the Spurs came out the best in this situation, but it's hard to say because everybody's in a different spot. Everyone's in a different situation. And I think the Bulls, like Will said, to just get somebody or something back, did they probably want more? Maybe a little bit more, but DeMar DeRozan was going to leave. So it's better than nothing. So I think it's between the Kings and the Spurs. And I think the Kings got what they needed for where they're at in their process. And I think the Spurs got what they needed for where they are at in that process. But Chris, it seems like the Kings are not necessarily done, but it kind of sounds like the Lauri Markkanen situation, according to Anthony Slater, is the curtains have closed on that a bit.
Yeah, in that same article where he details, everything that happened with DeMar, Anthony Slater decided to, just kind of throw in a little nugget here that is actually very beefy. It's more than a nugget. It's a full-blown steak, if you're asking me. He wrote in here, again, this is Anthony Slater from The Athletic. The Kings went hard after Utah Jazz's Lauri Markkanen early in the week, protecting Keegan Murray in those discussions, but putting on the table that what they believe was a substantial enough picks-based offer, team sources said. But they put a deadline to their side of the deal, needing an answer quickly considering the urgency of the dissolving market, something you mentioned on Wednesday. Utah didn't meet it, it being the deadline. There's growing skepticism league-wide that Jazz executive Danny Ainge will actually move on from any Markkanen deal. So it sounds like a lot of people are wondering if Danny Ainge was really just taking everybody for a ride this entire time and trying to see if he got truly a Godfather offer. This is again from Anthony Slater. So the Kings pivoted quickly to DeRozan getting wind. He'd actually have interest and then hitting the gas pedal. They had several veteran players and assistant coaches reach out to give their pitch. So yes, Anthony Slater reporting that the Kings were, in fact, it was not just smoke. It was not any sort of fake reporting out there. The Kings were actually truly in on Lauri Markkanen and had what they believed was a substantial enough deal to get it done. And it wasn't based around Keegan Murray. So I would guess that that's 4 first-round picks at least. Maybe, they were clearly willing to throw in this 2031 pick swap. So I would guess that was probably included in it as well. But yeah, Lauri Markkanen very easily, as much as we love the DeMar DeRozan signing, we could have very easily or just as easily been talking about Lauri Markkanen today, which is just crazy to me because I didn't really believe that. I guess this doesn't really necessarily say we were close, but to me, the Markkanen stuff felt like it was still pretty far away.
Yeah, and look, there's Anthony Slater, and then there's still some, I guess, conversation going on with some more local, I guess, beats that Markkanen may not be done, or Markkanen's name is still being brought up. I just don't see it happening. You know what Danny Ainge wants. You know how much he wants. I just don't see why you would waste your time with it for a guy who's going to go into free agency. We talked about, and that's exactly what's going to happen here, right? We've seen this story before, and it doesn't really matter. I get it. It shouldn't matter what the basketball world or social media thinks, but okay, the Kings say, fine, we got our guy in DeRozan. Let's move off of Keegan for Markkanen and a bunch of picks, whatever it is. Then everybody would say, why would you give up that much for a guy in Markkanen that might leave? Because we do know that his camp is already preparing for free agency. So I just don't see it happening. Doesn't mean it can't happen.
Yep.
I don't see it happening. I think Kyle Kuzma is still realistic. The Kyle Kuzma piece, though, just to have fun with the lineup, right? You get Kyle Kuzma, and now you have De'Aaron Fox, DeMar DeRozan at the 4, at the 2.
Yeah.
So you're saying Keegan would be gone? Keegan. So DeMar DeRozan at the 2.
Yeah. Keegan
at the 3.
Yep. Kuz at the 4.
Sabonis at the 5.
And Keon on the bench.
Yeah, we're assuming Herter was part of that move.
Right, yep. You get Devin Carter at some point throughout the season. The forward depth still isn't there, but yeah.
I mean, there's nothing not to like.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is essentially just improving. You're swapping out Herter and HB and putting in more talented guys in DeMar and Kyle Kuzma. Does that make you a champion? I don't think so. I don't know, but I think it definitely puts you a lot closer into the conversation. Yes. And again, you still have the benefit of making the Kuzma deal over the Markkanen or the BI deal in the sense of hopefully Kuzma's only 1, if not 2 first-round picks. You still have some wiggle room flexibility, and you still have Keegan Murray if you do want to move on from him at some point. To me, that's the move to make, and it's definitely one where you're a better team 100%. You're a different team 100%. And I think you still have the flexibility to potentially be something else. Does it fit perfectly? Is it the puzzle that I would have put together? Probably not, but I think it's still something that is just undeniably a very, very talented roster that you're getting off any bus and you're gonna scare some people.
Yes, and we have been told that the Kings didn't scare anybody this past season.
That's right.
I got a quick question really quick. So last year, we're not really talking about the bigs much, right? We're not, Alex Len is here and it's all good, whatever, 1-year deal. Last year, kind of maybe not out of nowhere, JaVale McGee got signed late, right? Like it was pretty late in the offseason. Do you guys expect to see that with another big this year with the Kings?
I don't know what they're doing with their centers because I think, Alex is still the only center that they have. And I mean, we haven't heard any whispered like we've heard Hayward Highsmith, who I saw just signed with the Miami, but I mean, I would guess that that's kind of their plan because I don't see any other plan that's laid out is that, they're probably just going to sign another center to a vet minimum and call it a day, I guess.
Yeah. I'm looking here and there are some names. Yeah. Mo Bamba, he's gone now. The names that you're going to, ring off, and David's bringing up Marvin Bagley. I mean, Bismack Biyombo. Okay, can I interest you in a Bismack Biyombo?
Sure.
Bagley could not play the 5.
It's not happening. It's just not happening.
Moses Brown.
Yeah, I mean, he's big. He's really raw, but it hasn't worked out for him anywhere. He's a project. I mean, he's not playing over Alex Len.
A lot of these guys. There's not a lot.
Where's Hassan Whiteside at?
He's not.
Let's grab him.
Hopefully not coming back.
Let's go get Dwight Howard.
He would definitely welcome it. That's for sure. I mean, there was rumors, I think, last summer that the Kings were going to kick the tires.
Harry Giles, forward through center. That's what they have him on. This is on NBA.com. Damian Jones.
I like Damian Jones.
Again,
I don't think he's playing over Alex Len, though. I don't know if they're going to bring in another center that would be better or definitely get more minutes than Alex Len right now.
Apparently, Boban's a free agent.
He's not getting more minutes.
Does he even play basketball, or does he just do commercials?
He just does commercials.
Chimezi Metu.
Good commercials, though.
Oh, don't bring up Metu.
I'm good off Chimezi.
No.
I'm
Chris,
really
don't
good
bring
off
that up.
Chimezi. I'm so good.
Micah Potter. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that it's bad, and somebody's bringing up Drew Timme, by the way.
No thanks.
Drew Timme, that's from the 279.
He's shown some good hustle, but I just don't think Drew Timme's necessarily a pro center right now. And, I think, if you're thinking, I guess the thought with Dave bringing up Marvin is if you're going to be doing a deal with Washington anyway, is there any way you could pluck what they have? Rashawn Holmes, they have Alex Sarr now, and they have Marvin, and I think they have another big as well. So they're kind of a bit locked, but maybe you can. Rashawn's making $12 million. I don't know. Maybe you can trade for Rashawn again. I'd much rather do Rashawn Holmes over again than go through the Marvin Bagley experience again. Please.
Yeah, I get it, but I don't. Probably not. TC, we see you. We'll get to you on the other side. We will discuss Devin Carter's shoulder surgery. Also, what is the current ceiling of these Sacramento Kings with the addition of DeMar DeRozan and Devin Carter? Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Subscribe to Sacktown Sports on YouTube and watch the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys. Live Monday through Friday from 6 to 6. Plus view archive shows and exclusive content.
Subscribe at youtube.com/Sacktown Sports.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by RC Willey Home Furnishings.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center for your Monday. Nice start to the day thanks to that Delta breeze. We're down to the 60s. For the afternoon, though, it's going to be hot once again. Plan for highs in the range of 100 to 107. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
RC Willey is celebrating Independence Day with holiday savings on everything for your home. Receive an instant discount equal to sales tax on purchases of $599 or more. RC Willey, your home, your way.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Granger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle Draper from Mercedes-Benz of Stockton, and they have a special deal going right now just for you. Receive your first month's payment up to $1,500 on them on select new 2024 GLE vehicles or the all-new E-Class now at Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. Rates begin at 1.99% APR on select certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz. Plus, you can always check out their other deals at mbofstockton.com or head on down I-5 to Mercedes-Benz of Stockton.
Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants at least 18 years of age and older that are residents of California and who reside in one of the 6 counties that make up the Sacramento metro area, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win, unless the station otherwise specifies in its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 30 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. For a copy of the general contest rules, visit khtk.com.
Tune in to Sacktown Sports now through July 9th for all your coverage of the California Classic, brought to you in part by Clean California. Remember, just one piece of litter can ruin the game. 0 litter is the goal. Tune in to Sacktown Sports now through July 9th for all your coverage of the California Classic, brought to you in part by Alsco Uniforms, proud partner of the Sacramento Kings. Discover why it pays to keep clean with Alsco Uniforms.
Coach Doug Christie here to let you know it's the 4th of July Sell-a-thon at Folsom Lake Ford. All your favorite models are on sale. Get 0 down deals on approval of credit right now. Hurry to Folsom Lake Ford.
Sacktown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sacktown Sports and subscribe.
The offseason doesn't start until someone brings up DeMarcus Cousins, the 916. DeMarcus Cousins? What, is that a question? 916, you want Boogie back? Was he balling in, where was he?
I think
Taiwan?
he was in Costa Rica, I want to say, or Puerto Rico, I think.
Okay.
I think it might have been Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, we'll get into some of this FIBA Olympic basketball. Does Noah Lyles look better or worse after seeing some of these guys drop numbers for their national teams? This is why people were roasting Noah Lyles. But we're on Noah Lyles' team now as we
right. But
get
man,
ready
that's
for the
right
Olympics.
around the corner now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to open up the phone lines. What's the current ceiling for the Sacramento Kings if no other move is made? I don't know if they're conflicting reports, but there are reports that the Kings had a timeline on Lauri Markkanen and it ran out and they said, okay, we're going to move forward. There's also reports that they're still interested in Lauri Markkanen. I do not want them to be interested in Lauri Markkanen because I just think that price tag is going to be too high. But as presently constructed, what is this Kings ceiling? Got a little hot during crosstalk during the break with Jason Ross and the conversation of where this Kings team could go. But we want to hear from you, 916-339-1140. TC wants to be a part of the conversation. TC, the first move has been made, or the second move has been made. How are you feeling, TC?
Hey, I'm feeling good. Hey, y'all got me, bro, on the connection?
We got you. There might be a monster in the background, but we got you.
Okay, look, check it out. Hey, I'm all for it, bro. So listen, check it out. That was a boss move by Monty, man. We gotta look. Monty was in his bag, big dog. We was all on his head talking about Monty, what you gonna do? We don't almost deal. Well, it really wasn't an almost deal. This dude was really in his bag trying to get a move done, dog. Lauri Markkanen. Then we end up with DeRozan. I'm just gonna keep it simple. DeRozan, just think about it from this standpoint. I know we want to talk about who's starting. The starting five is gonna be Fox, Monk, DeRozan at the 3, Keegan at the stretch, and Domas at the 5. We got Keon coming off the bench with Carter, Herter, unless we don't trade Herter in a package. Then the small forward can be anybody. It can be McDaniels. It can be one of the new guys or one of the rookies we got. I was watching Cal Classic. I know it's about a bunch of guys never finna make the league or maybe G League, but those dudes that we picked up, I'm talking about Boogie, Crawford, and the boy Isaac Jones, those dudes ain't no slouches, dog. Those dudes can step in and get big minutes. Boogie's a dog, like, we're deep, homie. From the mid-range with Fox and DeRozan, that's going to be unguardable. It's going to open up everything for everybody on the offense. This was a boss move by Boss Monty McNair. I'm going to tip my hat when I see him. I'm going to buy that man a drink, dog, because he made it happen. That's all I got for y'all, man. I want everybody to enjoy it. We up. We said it was going to be firecrackers, Kings fans, and guess what? We got firecrackers. We got M80s and all that.
Thanks for the call, TC. As always, great stuff. Yeah, and I feel like you're feeling, Chris, and I really am trying to figure out how to put my finger on it because I'm not really sure if I have a gauge on how excited Kings fans are. Mm-hmm. Am I crazy? I mean, because everybody is happy, but I think everybody knows it's not enough. So I expected to come on this show, and we did it. And it's just not That, and I know it happened a couple days ago, and we heard everybody in the building, but even just from the texts that we're getting, the calls that we're getting, and TC was definitely excited, but also from the Sac chat as well, the camaraderie of, we finally got a guy. I'm not seeing that, and I'm wondering why, or I'm not hearing that, and I'm wondering why.
I would think that it's one of two things, and it might be a combination of both. I think one of it definitely might be DeRozan's PR, maybe, like, not that he's a bad guy at all, but it's just that I think people, like I said, DeRozan is better than Kyle Kuzma. DeRozan is, I would say, if we're taking age out of it and we're just saying who is the better player, I think DeRozan is as good as Brandon Ingram, if not maybe even a little bit better in terms of everything, the complete package he brings. I think that it's just that he's not as big of a name as what you would want. I mean, I pulled some numbers over the weekend. DeRozan is he is like 30th right now in all-time NBA points all time, and I don't think anybody thinks of him like that. He's right behind Steph Curry in terms of active scorers in the league right now. I just think that people don't think of him as that talent that he is because he's been on such bad teams here recently, and even in San Antonio. I just think people don't really have a full appreciation for how talented this guy is. And I do think some of it is the toxic nature of where we're at with especially basketball, but sports these days, where, like I said earlier, people are just saying, where's the next move? We know that this isn't good, or we think this isn't good enough. I shouldn't even say we know that it's not good enough.
Right.
We think it's not good enough. There has to be another move that goes on with this, instead of just enjoying and living in the moment and appreciating. Like I said, this is probably the biggest free agent acquisition that the Kings have gotten in their history, and it's kind of being overshadowed because everyone wants a move that follows that might not even be, and probably won't be, for a player as good as DeMar. It feels like, to your point, if the Kings make a trade tomorrow to add Kyle Kuzma or Cam Johnson or Dorian Finney-Smith to this equation, that's when people are going to make their victory lap and things like that. And so, for whatever reason, it seems like it's the, okay, wait, I will celebrate when the team is actually complete, but there's no guarantee that there's going to be this next deal. Right now, it's all just speculation.
Well, and it goes back to what you think the ceiling is, right? Because, and I don't want to misquote our guy Jason Ross, but when we were talking during the crosstalk, during the break of the crosstalk, I believe he said you could still miss the playoffs with this roster.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think
he said one or the other. You could be the 1 seed. He said you could be the 1 seed, or you could be the 10 seed,
which is where I feel like we were last season. To be fair,
yeah.
So maybe that's part of it, and
I think a bit of that is hedging his bet.
And maybe some of this is, it was a couple days ago.
I think people are a little afraid to get excited after last year too.
Okay. And that's fair.
Little score.
And when you have people bringing up DeMar DeRozan's age, we know, and look, so there are some people out there that say for everything that the Kings did, maybe they were willing to give him more than other teams were. I don't know. I don't know what I expected today.
Yeah.
But I definitely thought that it would be more
celebratory,
more FCC. We have to bleep out what this person said or that person said. Somebody, Nick K on the Sac chat, is saying, I don't think it's really set in that we got a player of DeRozan's caliber.
Yeah, I think
that's shocked?
it too. I think that's
Are you still shocked that Monty pulled it off? Are vests 50% off now?
I'm telling you, I think that a lot of this is a lot of people haven't seen a lot of DeMar DeRozan because he hasn't been in the playoffs. Not because they're casuals or anything, but it's just, I mean, the Bulls, there has been no reason to watch Chicago Bulls basketball. They have been in purgatory the last 3 or 4 years. So I do think a part of this is because it didn't really fully settle into me this morning until I was thinking, again, like the Kings come off the bus, but I was thinking the Kings in pregame warmups, they're going to have, you're gonna see them warming up De'Aaron Fox. It's gonna be Domantas Sabonis, and then you're gonna say, "Oh, they got Keegan Murray. Oh, they have DeMar DeRozan. Oh, Malik Monk just walked through the door too." And you're just gonna be stunned by the amount of talent and just names that you recognize with the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah,
and I think a bit of that is just kind of not set in yet.
Coming up next, we continue the conversation. We talk some Devin Carter. Also, we say goodbye to Harrison Barnes, the Black Falcon. K-Dub, we see you. Dave, we see you. We will get to you as soon as we return. Stiles Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our clients' portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for American Energy Heating and Air with a question. Have you recently had a technician diagnose your HVAC system and you were a bit surprised at how much it cost? Or did something seem off about their quote? Because at American Energy, they take pride in giving you honest, straightforward solutions to get that system up and running. Have their qualified technicians come out and give you a free second opinion. It's free. You got nothing to lose but some dollars off of that original quote. They're making the uncomfortable comfortable. They've been doing it since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's why they keep having customers coming back for more and more and more. You can call them and set that appointment at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
If you've been on the American River, it's uphill, it's downhill. There's trails everywhere that you can walk, and it just makes you happy. And I couldn't walk, and it was terrible. I was turning into a real crab. I went to the Good Feet store, and I tried on the arch supports. I could not believe that I was not in pain. I can walk, I can run, I can jump, I can do anything. My name's Terry, and that's my Good Feet story.
The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, and Vacaville.
Lead generation is one of the most important aspects of any marketing campaign. Let us help you identify your target audience and market your products or services to them. Go to aimyourdigital.com today. aimyourdigital.com.
Sacktown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
About to get to K-Dub and Dave. Quick update here on Devin Carter to have shoulder surgery. This is from Shams. Came out yesterday. Sacramento Kings number 13 pick. Devin Carter is expected to undergo left shoulder surgery next week. Sources tell The Athletic and Stadium. Carter's status at the start of next season is in question, but he is fully expected to make a full recovery with no long-term issues. The Kings acquired DeMar DeRozan and reached a deal with point guard Jordan McLaughlin to shore up the backcourt in recent days. Sacramento dealt with similar shoulder procedure for Kevin Huerter near the end of last season, and timelines can vary based on rehab and recovery. Chris, your thoughts on Devin Carter and the shoulder issues? Big deal, little deal, no deal?
Well, it's not great. I'll tell you that.
No, not great.
You definitely don't want, your rookie coming in and needing surgery immediately, but it's not, we've been assured by Monty McNair that nothing that they're concerned about in the long run, and, not concerned that it's really going to hamper his career at all. I think if I had to pick big deal, little deal, no deal, I would definitely say little deal at the very least, because, like you said there, the rehab and recovery is kind of, there's not really a clear timeline on how long it's going to be. And if Devin Carter misses training camp, I really can't express how big of a problem that I shouldn't say problem, but how big of a miss that is, and really how much that can set him back during his rookie season. training camp is really the only time in which you have dedicated amount of time to go and learn what you're going to run for the entirety of the season. And I know since it's his shoulder, it's not his legs, maybe he can participate a good bit and still do walkthroughs and things like that. But, I think this really becomes a problem if, he's going to start to miss some of those ramp up games. He's going to miss preseason. Obviously, those are kind of the low stakes games where he can get his feet wet a bit. Obviously, if we're talking him starting November or something like that, I think that's not ideal, but it's still a good slate of games. He should still have, around 65 plus games to work with. I think it's okay as long as you're getting it throughout the duration of the season, but it's definitely not ideal if he has to miss some really important time for his development.
Yeah, I don't think it's great. And the speed in which everything moves in the NBA, it's a big deal, man. And I get it. You wouldn't be having that in Summer League anyway, but you'd have some of it. I mean, Keon Ellis, he looks different, right, in Summer League now that he's played in the NBA. So Devin Carter would have been getting to play with guys that have gotten NBA action. So I think it's I'm not going to sit the fence here. I think it's more than a little deal, but I don't want to call it a big deal. So I will still call it a little deal. But, it's not great. And a lot of these guys, they get banged up during their training to get drafted or prior to it, and they fight through it, and they end up in this position. But, the good thing is, you lost Davion Mitchell, but you got plenty of guards. Yeah. So, I mean.
And Jordan McLaughlin, too.
Yeah, you just get Jordan McLaughlin as well. All right, let's get to the phone lines. Dave, we see you, but first, K-Dub beat you to the line. We got you next, Dave. But K-Dub, Stiles and Watkins, what you got for us?
What it do, gentlemen? How's your afternoon going?
Man, pretty good. We are making it through, K-Dub.
Mm-hmm.
What you got for us?
That's what Hey, man, what I got, man, is Sacramento don't understand how to be happy, man. Listen, I was in the building, man, when the news came across, man. When the news came across, it was like the Twilight Zone. Mm-hmm. One person got it on their phone. Hey, we just got DeRozan. Oh, we just got DeRozan. I mean, it went like wildfire. Mm-hmm. I mean, the excitement in the crowd was exciting. But just to hear Dave today on the radio give us a B, and then hear you guys talking about fans, you Sacramento Kings fans don't know if to be happy or not happy. Listen, last week we were crying about the picks that we didn't get. We got one of the best players in the NBA. We need to learn how to be happy. We need to learn how to facilitate happiness.
Right.
Because we don't know how to do that. You know what I'm saying? Sacramento Kings is always looking for us to be at the highest of the high. No, we have to start low. We have to start somewhere. And Mike Brown came in when we was at the bottom of the bottom. Where are we sitting at now? What kind of conversation are we speaking now? We're speaking positive conversation about the Sacramento Kings. We didn't have that for the past 16 years prior to the last 2 years. So it's Sacramento. Be excited for that pick. Man, it's an A+ for me. We just need one more pick, like you guys are saying. One more pick, man, to solidify the roster, to make us the team to compete in the West. Sacramento, be happy for what we got. We got DeRozan.
That's right.
Who else went? Come on. Okay, put it this way. What grade would you have gave the team last week? And I'm gonna take that question off the air. You know how I do. I've dropped the mic. K-Dub is out. Deuces.
Great stuff, K-Dub. Great stuff. I would say, I mean, look, based on what we wanted from the Kings, I think this is a matter of what people normally complain about. They complain about the size, right? Yeah. They complain about the size. And look, I even said, I didn't realize how much of the four that DeMar DeRozan had been playing. So he's been playing four. So he's got the ability to add some flexibility to the lineups and the rotation. So I don't know how many people realize that, Chris. I'm telling you, a lot of people still think of DeRozan as a 2 or maybe a 3. And I think that might be part of this as well. And, we have the 916. It's hard to get super excited about this movie, and though he seems like a pretty good one, all we hear about is the Kings need size and length last year to compete in the West. It doesn't seem like they've addressed the size and length.
They also needed more talent, though. I mean, they were never going to win a championship with the talent that they had.
this move didn't cross all the boxes, but it did cross some.
Yes, absolutely.
So maybe they're waiting for the other pin to drop. Maybe it's the excitement of Saturday. Wow, we finally got DeRozan. And then you sit there and you look at the roster and you think, we probably still need more.
Sure.
Probably still need more, but you're still I still think you're better. This team is better than last season's team.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
I
think this solidifies you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And some people might say, well, that's where you were supposed to be anyways. But I think that we saw last year that there, to maybe what Jason was trying to say this morning is, he still sees that level of fluctuation with the roster. But to me, that's where I would differ. And I would say I don't see the level of fluctuation. To me, this is a guaranteed playoff team. I would think that I'd be very shocked if the Kings aren't a top 6 seed after this, just because, again, I think that they've done a great job with this of making sure if De'Aaron misses time, if Sabonis misses time, now they're I shouldn't say they're 100% fine, but there's more of wiggle room to work with, and I just don't believe that the West is going to be as healthy as it was last year.
I don't think so either. There'll be some new players, but some players will leave the chat. All right, Dave. 916-339-1140, Stiles and Watkins. What's up, Dave? What you got for us?
Hey, calling in from Boston. How are you guys doing?
Good. We're good. Good to have you from Boston.
Yeah, born and raised in Sac. I'm the only guy in purple in the Garden when the Kings come to Boston. So, a couple things I want to talk about. First of all, with the last caller, I don't want to hear saying the Sacramento fans are too negative. If you think they're negative, come over to where I live, and then you'll see some negativity. But couple of things. Number one, I don't love the fit of DeRozan in Sacramento for this specific reason. Is that, what is our best thing? It's that fulcrum of Sabonis and that high post. The guy you brought in from Chicago said, it was a problem in Chicago because he kind of occupied the same space as Vucevic. Well, what is Sabonis? Sabonis is high post. So, because DeRozan really doesn't shoot from distance, I just worry about teams packing the paint on us a little bit more. And to my next point, I really don't like us going for Kuzma because he's the same thing. He's not a three-point shooter. And I just worry about Sabonis having a harder time operating unless you get some shooters around him. I would much rather see Sacramento go cheaper and go for a guy like Cam Thomas, who's a little bit more of a specialist. He plays defense. He can hit threes. But I don't know what your thoughts are on, how the offense is going to operate with maybe some defense that are sagging more with DeRozan being a non-shooter from distance.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Dave.
Yes, thanks for listening, Dave.
And shout out to Boston. Beautiful this time of year.
It's a lot nicer than this. I can guarantee you that.
At least some wind going on. Well, when we talked to Will Gottleib and we essentially asked him about the fit, he really spoke more about the fact that the Kings just were chucking threes, right? And now you have the ability to not do that and to have a stopper. I call players like DeMar DeRozan a Band-Aid. Towards that end of the season, when the Kings blew those leads, when they were in OKC and when they were, they were, what was it? Not the Wizards, but the couple of games, New York.
Yeah, New York.
They were in New York with the Knicks. There was no stopper. It was Davion is hot from three right now. So is Keon. In the second half, they're not.
Faucet turns off.
Right. And the Kings cannot score, right? And DeMar DeRozan, he's going to be that Band-Aid to make sure that, hey, we're going to stop the bleeding here. Let's get something. Let's get something on the board. Let's find a way to get to the free throw line. He can actually make free throws.
Yeah.
So the fit is more about what the Kings weren't able to do already. And if you're asking me, do I want the ball to hop around? Because this is what we said when you talk about the flow offense and things like that. When teams are so attached to their offenses, it's because they have guys that can only do certain things. If they had more bucket getters, they wouldn't have to solely rely on move it around. Okay, whoever has an open shot, take it. No, now you can make sure, let's have the all-star take it. You know what I mean? Let's have our other all-star take it. We don't have to just simply stick to the flow offense at all times. So we said it before and we said it again. People are worried about the fit, but you also told us that you weren't very high on that offense anymore. So I don't know if Kevin Huerter is going to remain on the team. he still gives the team a lot of spacing as presently constructed. Obviously, Malik Monk does. Obviously, Keegan Murray does. So you have one guy, and look, De'Aaron Fox, his three-point shooting was starting to come around. DeMar DeRozan has gone up each and every season. The last couple of seasons, he's up to, I think, 32% now, which isn't great, but that's one guy. Okay, that's one guy, and people are going to have to respect De'Aaron Fox's threes because he's going to take them anyway.
Yeah, I think
take him anyway.
I think it's a little overblown, the shooting thing. I think it's definitely a concern for sure, but people are acting like DeMar DeRozan isn't a shooter, and I think I think people have become a little bit too obsessed with it being behind a certain line, and it's like, well, he still takes mid-range jump shots, and that's still spacing out the floor.
Exactly,
it's just not spacing it to the optimal amount of spacing. So it's not that he's a complete non-shooter. It's just that he gets to it. He has to get to his spot, which is pretty much at the free throw line extended. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a problem. I think it's overblown. I think, yeah, sure, he might not be as good of a spot up three-point shooter or a catch and shoot three-point shooter.
That's not what you're paying him to do.
But exactly, he can get to a spot. He can hit an open jumper. And to be honest with you, if the paint is clogged, DeMar is a bucket getter. And to your point, like it doesn't really matter if the paint is clogged for DeMar specifically. If it's clogged and affecting De'Aaron getting to the rim and Sabonis getting to the rim, of course it's a problem. But in general, DeMar is somebody who you can go ahead and plug the paint. He's still going to shoot it over you from the outside and hit his little turnaround jumper.
Chris, we see you. We will get to you right on the other side. Want to hear what you have to say. We also say goodbye to the Black Falcon, and we continue the conversation. How much better are the Kings today? Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Oh. The NFL's leading rusher plays here.
The handoff to McCaffrey, walks in the end zone. Handoff to McCaffrey, takes it right down to the goal line. He does his thing again. McCaffrey goes in motion right. Backwards pass led by Juszczyk. A block there. Hurdles a man. 10-5. Touchdown! CMC!
You can hear all of Christian McCaffrey's touchdowns on your home for 49ers football. Sacktown Sports.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Xfinity Mobile. Connect to the most reliable 5G network nationwide. We're looking at the A's top prospects halfway through the season. You have to start with shortstop Jacob Wilson. Now, despite missing a month with a knee injury, he is batting a ridiculous .463. And over the last weekend in June, playing in AAA for Vegas, he went 7 for 10 with 2 doubles and 2 homers. In 11 games in the Coast League, he's batting .447.
Want to save on some of the biggest names in streaming on the network made for streaming? Now through September 21st, get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for 12 months with a 1-year contract. And for just $15 a month, add the new Stream Saver that includes Peacock, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix for just $35 a month. Switch at Xfinity.com today. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay to store bank account. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular internet rates apply. Currently $54 a month. Actual speeds vary. Stream Saver requires Xfinity internet or TV and price subject to change.
Michael Dave here for Capital Casino. Sacramento summertime heat is back. And of course, Cap Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, wants to invite everyone to soak up some air conditioning, still with the most variety of table games in the region. And as always, the best food, best service, and the best action, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. Capital Casino, of course, reminding everyone to please make sure you gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Get ready for the Kia Vacaville Summer Sticker Sales Event. This is your chance to make it a summer to remember with incredible deals on select 2024 Sportage and Sorrento vehicles. Kia of Vacaville is offering an amazing 1.9% APR for up to 48 months for well-qualified buyers. Or you'll get $1,000 bonus cash on specialty tag 2024 Sportage and Sorrento models. It's the perfect time to upgrade your ride and start your summer adventures. Imagine cruising down the highway in your new Kia from Kia of Vacaville, enjoying the advanced features and comfort of the Sportage or Sorrento. Whether you're planning a road trip or just driving around town, these vehicles are designed to elevate your experience. But don't wait too long. These unbeatable deals won't last forever. Your adventure starts now at Kia of Vacaville, where every journey is an adventure. Visit them today and find the perfect vehicle for your summer plans. Model availability, lease options, and features may vary. Please visit Kia of Vacaville for more details.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
No look, Bibby to Weber, down the lane, flying jam. There's your play of the night right there. It's inside is Sabonis, a two-hand rip, a brilliant pass from De'Aaron Fox.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento.
Sacktown Sports.
I'm sure. I believe her name is DR. I'm sure Dior will be in the building at some point and doing. Maybe we can have a scream off.
Ooh,
me and Dior.
Call and response.
Yeah. I go scream. She goes scream.
Scream for scream.
You don't scream though. You just yell the word scream.
That's true.
Like maybe I trigger. I trigger her to scream.
Yeah, that's more like synergy. Like there you guys are.
She was wailing at that game.
Yeah, she was, and it worked. It definitely worked.
Yeah,
it definitely worked.
Definitely make it work here.
916-339-1140. Let's go to Chris. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Chris? What you got for us?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Great. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I, kind of touching on what Chris was talking about in the previous caller. The people we're looking at, right? BI, Kuzma, Laurie. BI, 36% career three-point shooter, decent, right? Kuzma's 33, Laurie's 37. And, Laurie obviously is untouchable with Ainge dealing with that guy. However, right, I mean, DeMar, pretty much on the cusp of 30% his whole career, but the guy has constantly put up over 20 points a game, hasn't really hampered anybody's play style, right? I mean, in any team he's been in, he's always been a bucket getter. And with the amount of movement that we have on offense, right, I don't really see why people think it's going to be clogged up. Like, I mean, if we were going to go after BI or if we were going to go after Kuzma, we would run into the same issue at that high post, right? I mean, there's Mike Brown is smart enough to be able to adjust the offense slightly to go ahead and benefit our team and get the most out of what DeMar is going to do, right? I'm sure there's going to be opportunities for him to split a defender and get to his mid-range from that high post DHO, right? I mean, it's not like he's just going to be stuck on the perimeter having to shoot a Kevin Huerter type shot where he's falling away, right? That's not his game.
Right.
There's going to be opportunities to be able to do that. And then, hey, if he breaks the defense down off of that DHO, he's got Keegan on the wing, he's got Fox on the wing, he's going to be able to kick that out. The guy is, averages 4 to 5 assists a game. He's not just a scorer, right? He does everything else. So the point I'm getting at, right, is a lot of people like to find where the issue is with what we've just acquired, right? Like, I mean, I think you look at it at face value, we got an all-star. You know what I mean? It's the first time it's happened since Weber. It's going to improve our team. And I've seen people say we didn't get better defensively. We didn't get worse. I mean, right? I mean, he's a better rebounder than Barnes. He's athletic. He plays more minutes. I mean, I I am extremely happy. I think we still need another move, obviously. But at the same time, if we don't make another move, I will still be happy. But I think it's a great fit. It's going to be awesome. I'll take your guys' thoughts off the air. But Chris, if possible, man, I think before you sign off today, we got to get a Black Falcon cacaw, just a tribute to Barnes. We got to get one before you sign off today.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys. You have a good day. All right.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for the call, Chris. Great stuff there. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's just human nature to go to what someone doesn't bring to the table versus what they do. And I know that you had kind of spoke about the fact that the Bulls, you know, besides some play-in games, you haven't really got to see them that much, right? Except for, and when you did, here's the crazy thing. When you did see the Bulls, DeMar DeRozan torched the Kings.
Yeah, personally.
Torched the Kings. And he was making threes. He was doing everything.
Yeah. Maybe he liked the hoops here. Maybe that's what it is.
I think, well, you know, it's a shooters arena. I believe Whitey had mentioned that game and that he was, this is it, from Whitey Gleason. He'll be on a little bit later at 2 p.m. with Kyle Draper, the Drive guys. How does DeMar DeRozan make the Kings better? Check the box score from March 4th. The Bulls came from down 22 to win in Sac, 113-109. In the fourth, Kings were 6 of 20 from the floor. This is what we're talking about when they go ice cold. DeMar DeRozan was 7 for 7 and outscored the Kings 19-18. Now he's on your team.
Yeah. Give me some of that, please. They could use it.
Now he's on your team.
It's going to be so fun. I mean, especially the fourth quarters, even if the defense is as bad as everyone says it is, just the fact that they have, okay, you know, you could argue, okay, sure, whatever. Maybe you guys are right. Mm-hmm. The defense is going to be just as bad as it was in that Beam team season. Well, what's a good counter for that? Mm-hmm. But having the two best fourth quarter scorers in the league. So even if you are terrible defensively and you are getting into these shootouts where it's, okay, last team to score wins, Kings have some pretty good, and we're just talking about Fox and DeRozan. We're not talking about Malik, who I remember in the middle of last year, we had a conversation. Is Malik actually stepping up as the most clutch player on the Kings last year? Because he was terrific. He had better numbers than Fox in the final minutes of games. And so if you add Malik, De'Aaron, and DeRozan in the final minutes of games, that's a lethal combo. And even if you are bad at defense, you're going to be winning that offensive battle. And at the end of the day, you know, you are trying to score more points than the other team, and I think the Kings definitely did a good job of taking a step in that direction. I'm curious, too. I was listening this morning to a podcast. They had DeMar DeRozan definitively as a top 5 shooting guard in the NBA, which might sound crazy on its surface, but I'm looking here. We'll just do top 20 points per game of guards. Okay? DeMar is 15th on this list. And we're just going to do shooting guard. So would you count Luka as a shooting guard?
No.
Okay, then Luka doesn't count. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Not
shooting guard?
Shooting guard. No. These are just guards. So I need, Jalen Brunson.
No.
Not a shooting guard. Devin Booker.
Yes.
Okay, so, and we would say Devin Booker better than DeRozan.
Yes.
There's one. Tatum, I have him as a 3. I don't even know why he's on this guard list.
He's a wing.
Donovan Mitchell, 2.
Yeah.
We'll call it a 2. We'll call it a 2 for sake of argument. So there's 2. De'Aaron Fox, definitely not a 2 guard. Steph Curry, not a 2 guard. Tyrese Maxey, not a 2 guard. Anthony Edwards, sure.
Yeah.
There's 3. Trae Young, no. Kyrie, no. Ja Morant, no. Damian Lillard, not a point guard. Oh, I'm sorry, not a shooting guard. LaMelo, wouldn't call him Desmond Bane. He's a shooting guard. Would you say that Desmond Bane is better than DeRozan? Would you rather have DeRozan or Desmond Bane?
Desmond Bane.
Sure. Then we'll have Desmond Bane as 4. Jaylen Brown. Do we want to count Jaylen Brown as a shooting guard? I'd count him as a forward as well.
I'd count him as a 4.
Yeah. And that's and then Cade Cunningham is 19. I would rather have DeRozan over Cade. And Anthony Simons is 20. I would rather have Anthony. So that puts DeRozan at the 5th best shooting guard in the NBA. Those are all just by points per game. I'll try and look below here. I think DeRozan right now is a better player than Tyler Hero. He had 20 points per game. CJ McCollum, maybe. And maybe this is more just a symbol that shooting guard is not that deep of a position. But when you look at it like the Kings just acquired a top 5 player at their position, I don't see how you could be upset at it.
No.
I don't see how you can't say that's a massive upgrade and just something the Kings had to do.
I think right now, the conversation that the Kings fans are kind of having with themselves in the mirror is how happy should I be if nothing else happens? Because I do think that there is a world where nothing else happens.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you can say what you want about the fit, but if the Kings were able to get DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Kuzma in one offseason, that'd be insane.
That's insane.
I just don't know how realistic it. I think it would be outstanding.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of moves.
It's incredible
to pull off in one summer and one off season. If Monty wants to say this is going to be the summer that changes my career and changes how I'm viewed, okay, bet we'll see what happens. But I think there's a real possibility that you don't even get the Cam Johnson, you don't even get the Dorian. They could be done.
Sure.
And I think people are trying to figure out how happy they should be if they're done. And I'm saying you should still be happy even if they're done. Because they're still better. Okay.
100%.
Just like who was it? Chris said on the call, they did not get worse defensively. They may not have gotten better, but they also did get better when they drafted Devin Carter when he's healthy and ready to play.
Fact.
They did get better because Keon Ellis will have more under his belt as far as understanding the speed of the game. So they did get better defensively. And De'Aaron Fox led the league in steals. So they have some guys. I know that wing defense might be questionable, but, you know, if Mike Brown is the defensive guy that we think that he is, they'll be able to scheme it. How many times have the Kings been a top 5 defense?
I don't know if ever.
So if DeMar DeRozan can be a part of a top 5 defense, even if it's anchored by Alex Caruso, DeMar DeRozan has been a part of elite defenses before.
He's not actively holding them back.
I don't know the last time that Harrison Barnes was a part of a top 5 defense. Probably with the Warriors.
A single King that has been.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think there's some things that DeMar DeRozan is going to bring. If you're going to look at the negative part of the age, we got to also look at the positive part of the age. He's seen a lot.
Yeah.
He's seen a lot. He's bringing that veteran leadership and the buckets. He's not simply bringing the buckets. So that's what I would say about the fit for DeMar DeRozan. And I get what and we're about to get into the Sam Quinn article. Don't get us wrong. But, yeah, there are definitely some questions. And from the 5-3-0, they don't have a legitimate power forward, though. They need another big, right? The big thing, I was just reading some names, and, you know, Chris didn't look up at not one name. I think, Chris, based on what I'm seeing, NBA.com, what about what can I interest you in a Paul Reed?
I do like Paul Reed. Yeah, Sixers had to drop him the other day. I think that's a really interesting name. I mean, if you ask anyone in Philly, they love him. He's a bit of a cult hero over there. They call him B-Ball Paul. And, he would ball out every time that Joel was out. So I think that would be a really good addition for the Kings. And, maybe to Nate's question earlier, that's kind of a signing that we don't really see coming from anywhere. And it just ends up, the Kings, the Kings actually were really swift and hopped on the Paul Reed train. I definitely think he would be a name to get excited about.
Yeah, right. So
this stage.
If they don't do anything, we get why you're not running on the ceiling, but at the same time, they're a better team than they were, even if they don't do anything else. I think it's that simple. Speaking of the naysayers, we will discuss what Sam Quinn of CBS Sports had to say as he gives the Kings a D-. The minus is what's disrespectful. We'll discuss when we return. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
The Open Championship celebrates its 152nd anniversary this month at Royal Troon in Scotland. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. The game's top players assemble for a chance at the coveted Claret Jug. The Open Championship is about tradition, excellence, and class. And you'll find similar qualities at Naturewood Home Furnishings as they assemble the finest furniture and brand choices for your selection. When you visit Naturewood, you'll be amazed at the gallery of superior furniture available for your lifestyle, for your decor, for your home. This weekend during Naturewood's bedroom sale, you're sure to find the perfect piece you've been searching for. Naturewood is proud to bring you Open Championship updates on this station and proud to offer you the finest furnishings available. Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the Waterman.
Sacktown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sacktown Sports and subscribe.
This is from Sam Quinn. DeMar DeRozan trade grade. Spurs win big as Kings swing and miss on All-Star Edition. This is from Sam Quinn. We're just going to read some of the important context and then get into what he had to say. So he says, let's start with the positives before we get into the low grade. And DeMar DeRozan is remarkably durable by virtue of rarely shooting threes, remarkably consistent on a night-to-night basis. There's also a subtle shot just to start off in the positive context. He has not missed more than 11 games in a season since 2012. Last season, he was held below 15 points only 6 times. He's always on the court. He never really has bad games. That means quite a bit for the Kings, specifically whose offense just cratered after late season injuries to Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter. Let's get to some of the negatives that he has to say here. It's just that the 2024-2025 Kings aren't remotely the same team that DeMar DeRozan could help. The Kings already had plenty of ball handling. Fox and Monk are both high usage players. The Kings run a lot of offense through Sabonis. They've developed a system that emphasizes movement both out of the ball and their players. DeRozan is a bit of a ball stopper while he is a solid playmaker. When he has the ball, he holds it on average for 4.73 seconds per touch, according to NBA.com tracking data. Fox isn't far behind at 4.68 seconds per touch. Both are near the top of the league. Neither of them are suited to watch the other dribble. DeRozan is both a low volume and low percentage three-point shooter. Fox has improved his volume substantially under Mike Brown, but the 36.9% of his threes made last season represented a career high, and that's barely above league average. He goes on to talk about the defense. DeRozan has historically been bad on that end of the floor. So is Monk, though he can't help it giving his size issues. Fox is a bit more of a mixed bag. Well, he led the league in steals. Keon Ellis emerged as a stellar defender down the stretch last season, but unless there's another trade coming, likely involving Kevin Huerter, he's not going to get enough minutes to hold together Sacramento's perimeter defense. Remember, the Kings don't have a high-end rim protector to clean things up for their guards. Sabonis is emphatically an offensive-first player. They managed to reach 14 in defense last season due to some great coaching from Brown, the late emergence of Ellis, and frankly, late-season injuries. Some of their defensive minuses like Monk and Huerter helped that out. Having Harrison Barnes, a competent veteran at the league's scarcest position, didn't hurt either. Okay. So, Chris, basically, as we go through this thing here, he's discussing how it's not really a great fit. He ends this thing here, and he talks about DeRozan's age. What I thought was interesting was the end, and you can kind of speak to the history of this, because he's going deep here, and some of this is just bad luck, okay? If the Kings had just swapped out Barnes and Duarte for DeRozan, this is probably a C or C- move. The fit issues all would have persisted, but it's a talent swing on a former All-Star. There is at least logic to that, but the Kings also included an unprotected 2031 pick swap. The words unprotected and Kings really don't belong together. An unprotected Kings pick swap ultimately turned out to yield the pick that became Jason Tatum. This is a franchise that has missed the playoffs in 17 of the last 18 seasons. History suggests that there is a good chance that swap yields a lottery pick, perhaps a very valuable one. Fox and Sabonis might seem fairly young right now, but 7 years is a lifetime in NBA terms. 7 years ago at this time, Kyrie Irving was a member of the Cavs. 7 years from now, Sabonis will be 35, Fox will be 33. Maybe they'll still be Kings, and maybe they won't, but there's a good chance they're past their prime. Giving up control of that pick could prove to be absolutely enormous down the line. So he doesn't really like any of it. By the way, he gave the Spurs an A+, and he gave the Bulls a C.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that it's pretty clickbait for sure. I mean, I think he has valid concerns. I think it's just a little bit, I think he just blew it out a little bit too much. I mean, the ball stopping thing is something, but the only reason DeRozan has that high of a seconds per touch is because he's a facilitator. And if you have, if you're initiating offense, you're naturally going to have the ball in your hands more than Keegan Murray would. So I think that's a stat that he's using to his favor. The defense is definitely a legitimate concern. 100%. We've talked about that, but even then, the Kings already weren't a good defense, and I don't know if DeMar's made him worse. He talked about breaking up a good starting lineup. We talked about how, it's making the starting lineup better because now it's a more talented starting lineup. And, the unprotected pick swap, I definitely think that should, if you're a basketball Twitter guy, or if you're, one of these bloggers that's obsessed with basketball, sure. That's like catnip for these guys, is these unprotected future firsts are always going to be things that these guys value more than anything. And it is scary. It's definitely a bet. It's interesting because I was thinking about it, and it does kind of, in a weird way, give Monty McNair an end date here, where we do know by 2031, there needs to be an answer by this. And that might sound obvious and stupid, but Monty McNair is either this deal is going to work out and Monty McNair will still be the Kings GM in 2031, or this deal isn't going to work and Monty's going to get fired before 2031 even comes about, and he's not going to have to worry about it. So I think in Monty's mind, it's a no-brainer to move on from, because you could argue you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And I get it. Like, it's scary. If the Spurs, who have Victor Wembanyama, who could be the best player in the NBA by the end of this season, if you listen to Kevin O'Connor, they're going to have him in 8 years. Are they going to be a title contender? Possibly. Yeah. Definitely possibly. And the odds, to Sam's point, that an unprotected Kings future pick in 7 years, who knows where the Kings could be in 7 years? They very well might be back where they've been the past 18 years. But, I think ultimately it's a risk worth taking. And hopefully the Kings are, a playoff team that season. And I think it's just hope at this point. But I'm not going to diminish the trade because the Kings traded the rights to a literal seventh grader right now.
Right.
It's crazy.
He goes on to say, as far as the Kings offense, their general offensive concept still worked last season. The starting lineup from 2022-2023 scored 119.9 points per 100 possessions last season. That was the fifth best mark of any five-man unit to play at least 300 minutes last season, trailing only the best groups from the Nuggets, Suns, Bucks, and Celtics. Their starters were more efficient offensively than either the Thunders or the Clippers. Both of them emphasized defense in their offseason moves. The Kings did get worse when bench lineups played, but they just paid Monk $78 million to run their bench units. You don't trade for a player of DeRozan's stature to shore up your backup groups. It's fundamentally disturbs a group of starters that was working. I mean, I'll give him this. It didn't feel like it, right? From the starters' perspective, it did not feel like they were the fifth best offensive team to play at least 300 minutes last season based on the points per possession on the Nuggets, Suns, Bucks, and Celtics. I think the good thing is at least the Suns are in there, and the Suns weren't great either, so that does affect it. But you got the Bucks, you got the Celtics, and the Nuggets. I'll give them this. Watching the Kings every day, it didn't feel like they were that good offensively. Yeah. I still don't know what to do with that. I still don't know if that means don't make this move, right? Or you can make the argument maybe they just got better, right? He's making the argument this is disturbing the group of starters. Yeah. I'm going to make the argument
they got more talented.
You got more talented. Yeah. And you
should be better. Yeah.
Harrison Barnes was putting up donuts some nights, and Kevin Huerter was putting up donuts some nights. So if they did all that with 3.5 players that were actually scoring, what are they going to do now adding DeRozan? That would be my counter.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's 100% spot on. That's where I would go. I definitely think that the lineup got better, and DeRozan's only going to add to the offense. I don't think the offense is a concern, so I don't know why, he really mentioned it in there. To me, this just makes this team more deadly, more scary. And defensively, they might not have as high of a ceiling, but I do think that the offense is going to be through the roof, and I do think at some point you do reach a good enough offense to where, yeah, you can have some defensive shortcomings because you're so much better than everybody else.
So that's just where we're at with the whole thing. And, Sam Quinn, we're reaching out. DM's open. We're going to hit you up, and you can explain yourself. I just think it was –
he'll backtrack at some point.
Probably. I mean, I just don't think he needed to say all of it.
Yeah.
Either okay, so the offense is going to be worse. The defense is going to be. There's nothing.
There's no consistency.
I guess that's how you get a D-.
Yep. No consistency.
Sure. I don't even know how we got the D-.
Yeah. Why not an F? That's
Why
what I'm
not?
saying.
Right.
Just give him an F at that point.
Just say it with your chest.
Yeah.
All right.
What you hedging for?
Coming up next, we say goodbye to the Black Falcon. Also, a writer from the Bay Area writes about the rankings currently in the NBA, and you'll never guess who he has ahead of the Sacramento Kings. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Did you miss any part of our live local shows? Don't worry, you never have to miss them again. Check out SacktownSports.com and search our podcast page and play our shows when you want. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys. Plus, other podcasts like Return of the Empire, Return of the Roar, the Stingers Up podcast, and Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
They're all available right now on SacktownSports.com.
Power Business Technology is proud to be 100% independent, locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a 2022 Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer. Contact us today for all of your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BC. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Team number one. What was I thinking? Countless ACM and CMA awards. Sold out world tours. And now Dierks Bentley is coming to Sacramento for Country in the Park 2. September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo with Parmalee, Dasha, Kelsey Hart, and more. Plus line dancing, food trucks, and more. Tickets available now at CITVFest.com.
Brought to you by Bonnie Electrical Heating and Air and the U.S. Marines.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle Draper from Mercedes-Benz of Stockton, and they have a special deal going right now just for you. Receive your first month's payment up to $1,500 on them on select new 2024 GLE vehicles or the all-new E-Class now at Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. Rates begin at 1.99% APR on select certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz. Plus, you can always check out their other deals at mbofstockton.com or head on down I-5 to Mercedes-Benz of Stockton.
Keep your family cool and comfortable this summer with Bell Brothers' best summer ever financing event. When you replace your AC system, we're offering 0 payments, 0 interest for 6 months on approved credit, then low fixed rate thereafter. That's right, 0 payments, 0 interest for 6 months on any new AC system. It's an incredible offer on an incredible new AC system, but only for a limited time. This offer is also available on any plumbing, water heater, or insulation projects over $1,000. So call Bell Brothers now. Your family will thank you, because they'll be cool and comfortable. But you have to hurry. Our offer for 0 payment, 0 interest for 6 months, then low fixed rate thereafter ends soon. Estimates and second opinions are free. So call now to keep your family cool and comfortable during Bell Brothers' best summer ever event. Our number is 916-444-1234, or find us online at thenosurpriseguys.com. That's thenosurpriseguys.com.
The No Surprise Guys, Bell Brothers.
I'm a very active person that likes to move around and go. The pain I was in was really excruciating. It was actually debilitating. I was basically heading towards a sedentary lifestyle. I had really tried everything, but I quickly lost hope with all of the things that we had tried, and that's what led me to the Good Feet store. And when I found the Good Feet system, it really just changed everything. It brought me back to life. I have my active lifestyle back.
The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, and Vacaville. Tune in to Sacktown Sports now through July 9th for all your coverage of the California Classic, brought to you in part by Clean California. Remember, just one piece of litter can ruin the game. 0 litter is the goal. Tune in to Sacktown Sports now through July 9th for all your coverage of the California Classic, brought to you in part by Fasteners Inc. DeWalt Power Tools. Tools at an incredibly low cost to you. Fasteners Inc. Tool Outlet. Better tools, better prices.
Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
From the 916, Kings don't have to do anything more. Move Sabonis to the 4, bring Len as a starter. And then you have Fox, DeMar, Keegan, Sabonis, Len, Monk off the bench. Money lineup.
No, I'm good. I think I don't think Alex Len has quite played that well. I think he's played well in his role, but I don't know if I'm going to say we should start Alex Len here.
And then there would be no backup 5 right now.
Yeah, there would be literally
even
no backup 5
in that world.
Yeah, no.
Then I don't even know what you would do.
No, I mean I and that's also the Sabonis at the 4 conversation where I just don't think that that's the right move for that. And I think it just wouldn't really make sense. I don't know what the benefit would be besides just being bigger, but you would definitely also be a whole lot slower.
Well, I will say this: if you're worried about spacing, adding DeMar DeRozan, inserting Alex Len into the starting lineup,
4 non-shooters,
and putting Sabonis at the 4, that spacing is now cooked.
Done.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Right.
Yeah.
I just don't think you can afford to.
No.
I think
Keegan better be pulling up from the logo at that point.
I think to your point from the 916, you just need more personnel. You need another piece, and that's why a lot of people are excited. But you're excited. You should be excited about being better. You don't necessarily have to be excited and think we're going to win a championship, but you should be excited about simply being better. 916-339-1140. Let's go to Javier. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Javier? What you got for us?
How you doing, Mr. Watkins and Mr. Stiles? Just want to show my jubilance, excitement, joy, and overall thanks to McNair for getting the job done and finally, getting over that free agency transaction hump. I got one proposition because I don't think we have a lot of options left, but this is the piece, and this is what will make us a formidable team. But, man, we got to stop listening to Peter Griffin give critiques on the Kings, man. Like, he never played a second of basketball. He doesn't know how many times, man. I love Harrison Barnes. My man was the NBA prototype of how you properly do a cardiovascular workout day in and day out on the basketball court in the NBA as a benchmark. Like, but my man would run laps out there, not doing a whole lot of anything.
Right.
Kevin Huerter, obviously, he's still on our roster, but the Spurs got an A+. We got a D-. DeRozan, most minutes played, or top 5 minutes played in the NBA last season, setting out of 82 games, and he averaged 24, 5, and 5. But we got a D-. Dog, you need to go watch the tape. Matter of fact, he needs to watch Kings game tape to understand how we assess Harrison Barnes in all actuality and reality. My trade is simple. Huerter, a first, 2026, and a 2028 pick swap. And even throwing 2, I would do 1 second, but maybe 2 if needed. But I'm not doing 2 first, and I'm going to get that man Kyle on the way to Sacramento. I just don't know how we can get a backup 3. So McDaniels better be worth something, because we can't go and get likes of Dorian Finney-Smith and Cam Johnson no more with only Huerter, because we're hard capped now. We're right there at the threshold of getting to the first apron. So I just see what you got out of the deal. And the free agents that are out there, the small forward position, sir, they got Sadiq Bey, but he just got hurt in the spring. So he's not going to be ready. They got a whole lot of options on the free agent market for the BAE biannual exception, or the MLE taxpayer, non-taxpayer mid-level exception rather. So I don't know, but they get Kuzma, Fox, DeRozan, Murray, and Kuzma, Sabonis, and that bench of Keon, Malik, McDaniels, Trey Lyles, and Allison. That's a 50. I think it's like a 55-win team. And if anybody wants to argue, show me why they wouldn't be, man. That's a basketball team right there. You're like, that's bringing back 06 vibes to me. You know what I'm saying?
I like that, Javier. Great stuff right there. I mean, so now, and I don't know, Chris, all of the rules on the different pick swaps, how often you can use them. Are they, as flexible as just normal giving up picks? Because now all of a sudden I think everybody's going to want to just rather do pick swaps than just giving up the first rounders. And I think teams are still going to rather I just want your pick.
Yeah.
Right. So if that's an option, Kevin Huerter, a pick and a pick swap, I would definitely listen to it. Okay. Because again, and we did this earlier in the show, that's now you got DeMar at the 2. You got DeMar at the 2. And again, kind of a lesser position. So maybe you could hide him at the 2 a little bit defensively. So you got DeMar at the 2. You got Keegan at the 3. Kyle at the 4, Sabonis at the 5. Obviously, De'Aaron is number 1. I like it, but I want to take it here, Chris, because it's crazy to me that I trust Monty McNair. It's just more about me trying to be realistic. And I just think that 2 blockbuster deals in one offseason would be historic. I mean, it's already been historic, would be crazy historic. And I want to ask you this with the MLE that Dave talked about in the morning show, getting DeMar DeRozan, as we had conversations about Alex Len and the center position, getting DeMar DeRozan, where is your priority list? Is it you got DeRozan? Let's see what we can do with the center, even though we know Sabonis plays a lot, or wing, you just add on to that wing depth.
I don't necessarily think they need a wing. I think they need a 4. Like, I think they need somebody who actually plays power forward and actually brings like some real what you would think of with a power forward. Like, I think they have a lot of 3s. I think HB was a guy who played more like a 3. I think Trey Lyles is somebody who plays a little bit more like a 4. Because I think the problem is if you have Kuzma and you have Keegan, yeah, Kuzma's a decent rebounder or a better rebounder, but he doesn't bring the physicality and he doesn't bring the rim protection. And I think the Kings still, I'm always going to say the Chet Holmgrens, the Evan Mobleys of the world. And a name I've heard circulated recently since the DeMar trade is Isaiah Stewart. I think that's a name that makes a lot more sense. He's more of somebody who's a physical presence at the 4, can give you some toughness, can give you some rebounding, and can still, in theory, stretch out the floor. We kind of learned last week that he's a lot more of a shooter than I think, at least that I thought he was. So I think that's kind of the thought that I'm looking for is, it would be nice to get another wing guy, but with DeRozan, who pretty much does do all the small forward things you'd want with a bigger frame. I kind of feel like this team could use a little bit more of your traditional beefer, but of course you kind of still need to have the modern day spacing and the ability to shoot, and that kind of limits who you're going for. So I think even if you bring in Kuzma, you still have some questions about possibly defense, about rebounding, where I feel like you can maybe pursue other options now and maybe try and get your perfect fit.
Bleed Purple 91 on the Sack Chat is bringing up a name that I've thought about before. I think he's making around 24, so I don't know the Kings can swing it. I'll double check here. But John Collins, is everybody
he's making like 12, I think.
Okay, it's 12. It's 12. Yeah. So I think it's more than that. It might be 24. It might be straight up 18, between 16 and
that's sounding right.
Yeah.
He is making let's see here. Ooh, boy, let's see. Got to see if this contract is still accurate. This says 26 mil this year, actually.
I told
Yeah, 26 this year and 26 player option the following.
Yeah, Bleed Purple 91. I like John Collins, but I don't.
That's what DeMar is getting paid.
That's what DeMar is getting paid. I think, well, and based on where the Kings are now and the money that they can spend, I just don't think you got to swap. Who is? I mean, Kevin Huerter.
You'd probably have to throw Trey Lyles in there, and I think that would put you somewhere near 22, 23 mil or something like that.
And that's still Danny Ainge.
Yeah. Yep.
That's still Danny Ainge that you're talking to.
Yeah.
So unless he doesn't value Collins the same way, he's still going to try to at least get a pick swap out of you.
Yeah.
And that, John Collins is the perfect example of you say one deal and it feels like not enough, and you say another deal and it feels like way too much.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they would get there, but he's definitely an intriguing player. And I see they're also bringing up my guy, Bobby Portis. This is just turning into the show doesn't start until somebody brings up Bobby Portis for Alan to talk about Bobby Portis. And I would love Bobby Portis, but that price is just it's too crazy enough. John Collins is too high. Bobby Portis is too low. It is too low. You would have to get another team involved and convince the Buck and get something back to the Bucks that they feel would be worthy. Because right now, I don't even think you could do Kevin Huerter for Bobby Portis straight up, because Kevin Huerter makes more than Bobby Portis, or it's really close. And I think that the Bucks would say, well, we want more. And I don't know that the Bucks necessarily want picks right now, as they're still in all-in mode. Okay, coming up next, we say goodbye to the Black Falcon. Get in all of your Harrison Barnes memories. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
The NFL's leading rusher plays here.
A handoff to McCaffrey, walks in the end zone. Handoff to McCaffrey, takes it right down to the goal line. He does his thing again. McCaffrey goes in motion right. Backwards pass led by Juszczyk. A block there. Hurdles a man. 10, 5, touchdown! CMC!
You can hear all of Christian McCaffrey's touchdowns on your home for 49ers football. Sacktown Sports.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by July 31st, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards that zero-turn lawnmower you've always wanted. And after using its edge-shaping technology to meticulously sculpt the face of the Mona Lisa into your grass, you'll become the undisputed king of Saturday morning lawn care, leading your neighbor and sworn enemy Gary to question his place in the delicate neighborhood ecosystem. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. They'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, what's up, Sacramento? It's Kyle Draper. Turn up the cleanliness at your restaurant, healthcare, or industrial business with Alsco Uniforms, the official sponsor of the Sacramento Kings Mop Crew. We've got you covered with crisp uniforms, hygienically clean linens, floor mats, and, of course, mops delivered weekly. But that's not all. Alsco Uniforms also offers weekly services for first aid and restroom supplies. Discover why it pays to keep clean with Alsco Uniforms. Just go to alsco.com to learn more. Again, that's ALSCO.com.
The wild-eyed Southern boys are back. 38 Special. Rock it into the night. Friday, July 19th at 7:30 at the venue at Thunder Valley. With Lou Graham, the original voice of Foreigner. Tickets on sale now. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. Don't miss 38 Special Live.
It's the Folsom Lake Ford 4th of July Sell-a-thon. Get low finance rates and 0 down deals on approval of credit right now. Shop Folsom Lake Ford over 35 years in the Folsom Auto Mall and tell them Coach Doug Christie sent you.
It's Malik Monk, takes it on the wing, swings on top to Lyles, hands to Barnes, shot clock at 4. Barnes drives off the dribble, tough 2-pointer, score it. Harrison Barnes has 29, 10 of 17 from the floor. Kings go back on top by 2 as we come to the 1-minute mark of the third quarter. Back outside to Malik Monk on the right wing. Puts it on the floor with the left-hand dribble. Hesitates, drives inside, goes high glass. No, it comes up short. Sabonis has it, feeds it out. Quick shot for 3, score 3 more for Harrison Barnes. A season-high 35 points. Klay Thompson starts toward the baseline, steps back, launches. He scores again. Harrison Barnes is just in fuego from the runways. He's on fire. He's got 39 points. 132-127.
I don't even know. We're about to get into Harrison Barnes and his farewell. But there's something going around, and some people have been putting it on the text line and tagging me on social media. And we'll probably get into this tomorrow, so it'll be more of a 24-hour tease, if you will. But basically, Gilbert Arenas on his podcast is mad at DeMar DeRozan, and I guess in kind of a playful way, but it wasn't very playful. And, you know, he had some things to say, just the usual suspects about Sacramento, Cowtown. He says it's ugly and it stinks. And Brandon Jennings
There's
essentially
a little vitriol in that too.
Oh yeah, Brandon. Well, I'm being very
hurt.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Then
Then they start talking about the people being ugly, and Brandon Jennings kind of gets in on it. And like I said, we're not really gonna do the deep dive today. That'll be more of a tomorrow thing, whether or not we decide to play that audio, because it's just ignorant and it's stupid. But, you know, Chris, obviously I'm not going to sit here and act like I've repped Sacramento forever, but I will say that I have really enjoyed my time in Sacramento. And look, we've done this before when you talk about markets. There are more small markets than big markets.
Sure is.
And to be fair, Gilbert Arenas was fair in his assessment of just being a complete idiot, because then he said why doesn't he want to go to big cities? You were in Chicago, but it's cold, so Chicago is one of the biggest cities.
Number 3.
Yeah, so
LA,
he just
New York, Chicago.
It's just the type of clickbait stuff that we try not to promote on this show. But at the same time, if somebody's going to disrespect you, I think you do want to know about it. And yeah, Chris, if you have anything, we're going to get into the Harrison Barnes thing, and we'll talk about it more tomorrow. But, people were tagging me and tagging Carmichael Dave. I had to at least get it from Sacramento's own and see what you thought.
Yeah, no, I mean, I saw it. I heard it. It's whatever. I mean, I don't know who hurt him so much, but it definitely sounds like he's got some personal vendetta with the city. I just put out on socials, like, in a world where Kendrick Perkins is on television for 40 hours a week, Gilbert Arenas still manages to be the worst basketball personality out there. It's really amazing. It's truly an accomplishment. I didn't think anybody could be worse than Perk, but Gilbert Arenas has him beat by a mile. And that'll probably be the last audio we ever play from Gil, because I've been, trying to get him shadow banned from this show for a while, but his content is just too meaty. I mean, he does this all the time where he's just very, very controversial. And
right.
And
we can do it in a way. I guess what we can do moving forward is, if he has a guest on that has something that we're interested in, we'll play it. But anything out of that man's mouth is completely useless. Look, I mean, and we've done this before. Just because you play doesn't mean that everything you say is law. And everything you say is word. And
he's
tired.
One of those people who doesn't understand that.
Right. And I'm tired of sitting here and saying that these player podcasts are so much better than everything else because they play. He sounds like an idiot.
Or he's keeping it real.
No, he's not keeping it real, right? I mean, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
He has no idea.
It's one thing to be wrong. It's the other thing to be loud and wrong. So at this point in time, we're done with Gilbert Arenas. We don't have to play. If it's from his show, it won't be from that man's mouth, because anything that comes out of his mouth is ridiculous. And we looked up the numbers.
He was a clown when he played too.
He was.
I mean, we all know the story.
He was. And you sit there and you think that you can just talk bad about people. You're going to call DeMar. Okay. How many times has he even talked to DeMar? I mean, these guys are just so full of it.
Exactly.
They're completely full of it. And, he sits there and they got the pod and they think people want to listen to this. Homie, nobody is sitting there checking for the whole thing. And you know that.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You continue to have these clips so that they go viral and people actually talk about it. Nobody is raring to fire up 2 hours of your nonsense, because it's not even breakdowns. I joke about Mind the Game. By the way, JJ Redick said goodbye on Old Man in the 3.
Yeah,
I know you were sad about that.
I saw the clip.
But this isn't even Old Man in the 3.
Nope.
This isn't Mind the Game. You're not getting anything from these conversations. This is barbershop talk with dudes that are really tall and really athletic and played in the league. That's it. They're not sitting there studying the game.
Nope.
They're not sitting there analyzing the game.
Nope.
It's barbershop talk.
100%.
That's all it is. And so I'm supposed to care about what Gilbert Arenas thinks about a city that he has no connection to because he played basketball in the NBA?
Yeah. How about these big markets that Gil closed his career with, by the way? So he had 8 seasons in Washington after 2 in Golden State.
That's a gun situation, right?
Yeah, that was in Washington.
That's right.
Yeah. Orlando. As we know, it's a great practice facility.
Great
but
Taj Mahal. It wasn't even built yet.
No, it wasn't even built
yet.
No. So this guy was just getting Disney World free passes or something. Ended his career in Memphis. That was his last NBA season. And then went to China after that. Dang, bro. India's a bigger market than China. That's right. Crazy, bro. That's crazy that you really pick. We got to talk to this man picking these small markets. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
bro?
it's just kind of embarrassing. To have to, I mean, that's the thing. Go play catch with your kids.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, right.
Like, go
his kids
do
are great
something.
too, from what I understand. His daughter and his son are supposed to be really, really good.
Go do something.
Yeah.
I will never understand being in a position where you are 1% or whatever it is, and you feel the need to just talk bad about places or people that you have no connection
weird.
to. It's just unnecessary.
Very.
It's just unnecessary. All right, let's get to Harrison Barnes. Chris, we know that it has been an interesting roller coaster, an interesting ride with Harrison Barnes, but I will give you the floor on kind of your last thoughts on HB, and maybe not even just his time with Sacramento, just HB in general.
Yeah. Well, we'll start off with some business first. 399 games played with the Sacramento Kings. Couldn't get that 400th game. That's kind of sad. Back-to-back seasons, 82 games, back-to-back Ironman seasons. That definitely should not go unnoticed. He's the second longest tenured King, or was the second longest tenured King before being shipped off at 5.5 seasons. De'Aaron Fox holds that. Currently, Alex Len is the second longest tenured King at 3 total seasons. Sabonis had 2.5. Alex Len has been here for 3, pushing 4 seasons. And then, just of note, say what you will about HB, and I've definitely not always been super positive about his play here and him living up to what I think he should have been. But the fact, and shout out Vlade as well, which I will not do often here. He got Harrison Barnes for Justin Jackson and Zach Randolph. Say what you will about, did Harrison live up to the guy he was supposed to be? Did he, do as much as he could have to help this Sacramento Kings situation? I don't know. I would say not, but I don't know. Doesn't really matter. It's a great trade. It is a fantastic trade for this team that really was going nowhere, had no direction, had no small forward plan after Rudy Gay. And for them to get Harrison Barnes, shoring up that spot, it wasn't always at an elite level. It wasn't always at a level that I think a lot of people were satisfied with, but he held down that starting spot for 5 seasons at a position that's as valuable as any in the NBA. And more times than not, I think a lot of people would say we could do a lot better than Harrison, but you also could have done a whole lot worse than having Harrison Barnes at that spot. So he definitely needs to get that recognition for, at the very least, helping the Kings keep the ship steady, at least for a couple years. And then, we can get more into the emotional side of it. I mean, I think obviously he was a great guy, like a Hall of Fame person. We joke all the time about the suits and him being a consummate professional and being the oldest 30, soon to be 31-year-old that's ever existed. But, that I definitely think ultimately I'm going to think of Harrison Barnes as a big what if, and he's going to fall into the category of just I wanted more. And he was just an ultimate professional, but I do think that we wanted to see him take more of a leadership role, to take more of a, hey, like I've been here just as long as anybody else. And even if I'm not contributing, how maybe you think I should on the floor, I can make up for it with my off the floor effort. And, he definitely did that in terms of helping the community, but in terms of helping the team and the team coming together and really feeling like they needed a North Star from a leadership perspective, it just felt like he fell a little short of that. And then, of course, the dull Swiss Army knife thing, I think, fell true much too often, that he just he would fall asleep or he would just kind of fade away into the background, however you want to phrase it. It just felt like there was too many times where Harrison Barnes was, and it sucks that you have to go to this, but he was the highest or one of the 2 to 3 highest paid players on the team, but he would not play like it. And I think that's ultimately the thing that I'm going to remember from the on the floor standpoint is just, man, I feel like this guy could have been a lot better, but it just never happened. And I still weirdly enough wouldn't be surprised if Harrison Barnes did great, did everything that we wanted him to do here in San Antonio with just more options, more space, and more freedom to work with, I would assume.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head there as far as Harrison Barnes is concerned. We know who he is as a professional and as a person, and he is really the model that I think really all of these young guys should follow as far as how to stay out of trouble and just do the right things.
Had like 15 HBs as a person.
Oh man, that'd be a great team right there.
No maintenance.
Mike Brown tells stories about how he's helped out with younger players that aren't even on the Kings, just trying to do the right thing. So we appreciate everything that HB did for the team and also for the city. And moving forward, as he moves back to Texas, this time San Antonio, I think he'll be a great fit. I feel like he torches his former team, so you're going to get
the revenge tour.
You're definitely getting a 30-piece from Harrison Barnes.
He's so mad.
Everybody's so sick. I'm actually looking forward to that to the day after that show after that game as well. But yeah, we wish him the best, and Harrison Barnes, he's going to continue to do his thing, and he'll have some opportunities, and maybe this is the situation for him that really unlocks him, right? So he'll have a little bit less pressure.
Yeah, definitely.
And he understands who
Pop's gonna freaking love him.
Oh, he's gonna love him. I mean, look, they got a little something, right? They got some play in action. They definitely got play in action over there with Wemby. So I think Harrison Barnes is, going to be exactly what they need, and we wish him the best.
Yeah, for sure.
We wish him the best. Coming up next, we get back into the DeMar DeRozan conversation. We also discuss Malik Monk and his signing. Also, former coaches praise DeMar DeRozan. Stiles and Watkins, Sacramento Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Some people just know safe drivers save more with Allstate. Just like they know a saxophone solo makes any song smoother. See? Smooth. And they know if you're a safe driver, you can save up to 40% with Allstate. Now that's nice.
Based on the national average premium savings for Allstate customers with a clean driving record versus those without. Savings vary by state and based on how you buy. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
This 4th of July celebrates spectacular savings at Elk Grove Kia. During this Kia summer sales event, drive away in a 2024 Forte for only $169 per month, or get 4.99% for 72 months on a new Seltos. Or come shop our large selection of quality pre-owned vehicles with many starting below $20,000. We work with many credit situations and have vehicles to fit every need and budget. But these deals won't last. So get to Elk Grove Kia at the Elk Grove Auto Mall during the 4th of July sales event. Forte lease plus tax, $4,999 due at signing. 0 security deposit. 10,000 miles per year, 20 cents per mile excess. 5 available. Seltos offers $1,606 per month for $1,000 financed. No down payment required. 5 available. On approval of credit. Ends 7/8/24.
Turn your highway into a smile way. Elk Grove Kia.
18 number ones.
What was I thinking?
Countless ACM and CMA awards. Sold out world tours. And now Dierks Bentley is coming to Sacramento for Country in the Park 2. September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo with Parmalee,
I love you just the way
Dasha, Kelsey Hart, and more. Plus line dancing, food trucks, and more. Tickets available now at CITVFest.com.
Brought to you by Bonnie Electrical Heating and Air and the U.S. Marines.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, your new home for 49ers football in the 916.
Sacktown Sports.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sacktown Sports.
Chris, I was doing some digging, and yeah, there are a lot of. We did this before. Yeah, there are a lot of podcasts out there. Don't get me wrong.
Too many.
So I don't know if this is actually a good look or a not so good look, but Gilbert Arenas, Gil's Arena, coming in on Apple Podcasts at number 53.
For sports?
For sports.
Okay. Yeah.
For sports.
Yeah, that's I always wonder who I'm pretty sure DraftKings is funding it
It is DraftKings.
Yeah, and it's like
no, it's Underdog.
Underdog. Okay, yeah. I was like, I know it's one of these things, and at some point it's like, what is? I guess the clicks is ultimately what I don't know what their goal is, but I'm like, what is?
Yeah.
Who's going to continue to fund these things?
There really isn't, and it's kind of a passion project of mine. This is so much of the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
There is no CBS Sports or CBSSports.com podcast power rankings. Right. I think it's all numbers based.
Yes,
when,
it is.
When you look at, Apple Podcasts or whatever, because there's just no rule. Nobody knows anything.
Right. And they're not all created the same.
Some of the podcasts ahead of his.
There needs to be a game of we should just do a game of does he have a podcast or not?
Right.
Because I think we would be surprised to be like, JJ Watt, does he have a podcast? It feels like definitely he doesn't.
He is.
Trae Young does though.
Yeah. He is one behind Games with Names by Julian Edelman.
Okay, I was like, no way I guessed that.
Number 50
There's a game in here somewhere.
The Mina Kimes show.
Okay.
Number
at least,
47, and probably not the. So 47, they have Nightcap with Shannon Sharp, but Gilbert Arenas is in that picture with Chad Ochocinco. But I've never seen him on the pod. Yeah. So that's at 47. First things first, your boy.
No, thanks.
Nick Wright at 44. Stephen A. Smith show at 45. 39. It is what it is. Mason Cameron beating out Gilbert Arenas.
There we go. Okay. I didn't even know they had a sports podcast.
Oh, yeah. It's big.
Yeah.
It's big. And 40 Pivot podcast with your boy Ryan Clark.
Yep.
And trying to stick to the basketball pods. Yeah, that's the Roommates show.
There
coming
you go.
in at 26.
Your favorite.
All the Smoke coming in at 25.
Are the starters on there?
No, they don't. They changed their name. It's now No Dunks. It should be up there.
This is interesting. 7 p.m. in Brooklyn with mellow and marrow.
Yes.
That's high.
Yeah, it is.
That's high.
Super high. Which should also tell you how little people listen to Gilbert Arenas podcast.
That's what I'm saying. That's high.
That's crazy.
The Low Post at 15.
That's a great one.
The Ringer NBA show at 13. Russillo at 11.
Russillo's good.
Brian Windhorst and the Hoop Collective at 10.
Okay.
Club
crazy.
Shay Shay at 9.
Sense. Okay. We're starting to make sense here because at least that's like entertainment on top of sport talk. You know,
the Meat Eater podcast.
No idea. No, wouldn't even have a guess. Who is on the Meat Eater podcast? Is that like, is that Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi?
No,
or something?
it is.
Is the Liver King?
It is it comes from the Meat Eater Network, building on the belief that a deeper understanding of the natural world enriches all of our lives. Host Steven Ranella brings an in-depth and relevant look at all outdoor topics, including hunting, fishing, nature, conservation, and wild foods.
Gil can't beat out that. That's crazy.
Filled with humor, irreverence, and things that will surprise the heck out of you. Each episode welcomes a diverse group of guests who add their own experience.
Huh.
I think what it is you got 18 million sports pods. There's only one Meat Eater.
Yeah.
This is unique.
Well, I mean, maybe
you
they
cornered a market.
Right category. I would guess outdoors or something for that category.
Hunting is
For
a sport. It's all you know.
It definitely is,
and that ain't on the
Absolutely.
Ocho.
No.
Number 7.
Not getting that in Club Shay Shay.
Number 7, Dan Levitard. Number 5,
sure.
Podcast P at number 5.
That's crazy, man. That's pull.
Can I be honest here? I don't know that I would have wanted to deal with that. I mean, I see. When is the last time this man was in the gym?
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
Every day I see him. Does he record?
He's in the lab,
every
that's
day?
for sure. Yeah.
Does he record every single day? Number 3, the New Heights podcast with Jason and Travis Kelce.
Sure is.
Number 2, Bill Simmons pod. Number 3, number 4, The Move, a cycling podcast with Lance Armstrong.
Wow.
Number 4.
That must be new or something.
It has to be new.
Because there's no way anyone cares about Lance in the year 2024.
And number 1 part of my take. So really, these athlete pods, they're not destroying. There's guys that people like, and then there's Gilbert Arenas.
Yes, exactly. And Gilbert is rightfully so, especially after hearing that list. He's far, far, far down on that list of relevancy. And he definitely deserves it because I don't know what he's talking about these days.
All right, you have some words from DeMar DeRozan's former coaches, just praising him.
Yeah, I was looking for quotes of former teammates and everything, and I kind of figured I would find some really good quotes of former coaches and teammates talking about DeMar, but I was kind of blown away by the words that these guys have to say. Just the power of the words in which they choose to use to describe DeMar, to me, is just really representing how good of a person I think DeMar is. This is from Greg Popovich. This is him talking about DeMar when he came back for his first game in San Antonio after being traded to Chicago. Popovich said, quote, "He was a great teammate. You could always depend on him. He was a go-to guy that you knew always had the ability to score against most people. But he was always in a good mood. He always had a smile on his face. He was fun to just be around." Pop also has taken out DeMar to multiple dinners in their past, and there's a really, really sad story and a really good press conference and a couple stories written about when DeMar's father had passed away when he was in San Antonio. He was just trying to get ahead of everything. He was, calling the team and saying, hey, I'm not going to be here tomorrow. I need to get all these funeral arrangements and everything done. And a door, and it's Pop. And Pop walks into his room and really emotional. It just says that they cried for hours. And so, there's clearly a really, really strong connection there. And I think Greg Popovich, who has obviously had a ton of big names walk through that door, really just could not speak highly enough of DeMar and his time that he had there. Dwayne Casey, who was his coach, his coach after Jay Triano in Toronto, said of DeMar's time in Chicago, quote, "I'm just so proud of him," Casey said, "from growing from being a young, skinny kid from Compton to the man he is today. That's why you coach. You watch young men become great men, great fathers. I can't say enough great things about what he's meant to me in my coaching career. We've won a lot of games. definitely really, really big words for Casey to say. I mean, that's the reason why you coach. I think it's just awesome. And again, they have a really, really strong connection. And Billy Donovan as well, DeMar's previous coach in Chicago, of course, just had amazing things to say about DeMar. About DeMar in clutch situations, he said he gets very focused. He gets very quiet. I don't think he gets distracted by what's going on. He thrives in chaos in those crunch moments. He's able to calm himself and read the defense. He knows what spots and how to get to those spots himself. And then I just think his connection and ability to block things out. The moment never overwhelms him. He's really done that throughout his career. It's an incredible gift that he's had or been able to work with over time. I think that the great ones lean into those moments, and he leans into having the ball and making the best possible play. Also said that DeMar has a great old school mentality. Said it's line up and play. I did it my whole life. I love the game. I want to be out there as much as I can, and I don't take it for granted. So just every single person who has ever coached DeMar DeRozan has had nothing but incredibly positive things to say. And I think, Will Gottlieb that we had on earlier, him really pointing to that story of going over, literally sitting next to Colby White and watching the film with him at his locker and breaking down what went wrong, what he could have done, and maybe even as well what he did right. It's not even just pointing out what he did wrong. I think that's just a perfect encapsulation of the guy that DeMar is, and hopefully the leader that the Kings can bring in, because we know that leadership has been just as big of a talking point as defense, as three-point shooting, as anything else with this team. So definitely thought it was a really, really massive positive to see all the kind words that were said about DeMar.
Yeah, I mean, that's just great stuff right there. And this is what the Kings are getting. The Kings are getting a guy who has been through the fire, who has been on different versions of what the Kings have accomplished and what the Kings are trying to accomplish and what the Kings are trying to avoid. Yeah. He's been on rebuilding teams. Yep. He's been on playing teams. He's been on teams that have gotten really, really close but not gotten over the hump. He had to watch his team then get over the hump.
Man.
Because he was gone, essentially. Because Kawhi,
they traded him for Kawhi.
Took his spot. So he's seen it all. He's done a lot. And I think this is the perfect guy that the Kings need, not just from a basketball standpoint, but for the growth, to hear the stories about De'Aaron Fox going to get DeMar DeRozan and going out to lunch, and to hear the stories that we've heard from DeMar DeRozan about trying to, get these young guys. I mean, the shot selection for Keegan Murray. Maybe Keegan Murray develops a midi. Yeah. Maybe some of these other point guards as well. Keon Ellis, you just continue to add to that bag. So I think everything in the glowing remarks that we hear from his former coaches is exactly what you want to hear. And when they get on the basketball court, I mean, Chris, and we didn't really answer it ourselves when we asked the question about the ceiling. And I would say, I can't see this team barring injury. I just can't see them in the play-in again. I think we would have had to see some crazy, just two of the craziest years in the NBA in one conference as far as health is concerned ever. And I don't see that happening. The Kings have made their move. They're probably going to make another move, even if it's smaller. But as it's, I guess the exercise was as presently constructed, it's hard for me to see them in the play-in.
Yeah,
it's hard.
No, I can't see it. I mean, again, I just really think that DeMar adding, maybe if the Kings had lost Malik Monk, I would say, okay, hold on, let's pump our brakes here. Maybe there's a chance. But I just think that there's no way that the fit is that terrible. And maybe I'll be on old takes exposed or cold takes exposed. But I just feel like there's just this team, the only thing that can make it not work is if it truly is just a very, very clunky fit and they can't defend anybody. But I think that the talent-wise, they got better. I think that just in terms of hierarchy, they make a lot of sense. And then if someone gets hurt, not only can DeRozan step up, but not only can Sabonis step up, but you have Malik Monk still there too, who I think if De'Aaron were to go out and Malik were to have to step up his role, I could definitely see for a couple weeks, for 15 games, Malik plays at a level that makes it really easy to forget about De'Aaron Fox just for those 15 games. I just think that this team is so much better from a floor standpoint. Again, I'm right there with you. I can't see them in the play-in situation. And I do agree with Jason, in a crazy world where, yeah, maybe some things, or definitely some things would have to go their way. I don't think it's crazy to say they could be a 1 seed. I think it would have been crazy to say that the Kings would have been a 3 seed 2 seasons ago. I think after that season, it would have been crazy to say OKC is going to be a 1 seed the following year. I'm not saying I think it's probably going to happen. I wouldn't say that the odds should be that is going to happen, but I could definitely see where this is a lot better of a fit than people are anticipating. And yeah, definitely some things would have to go the Kings' way in the West, but I wouldn't say that it's absolutely impossible. I would say that in a realistic world, they lock themselves in from a 3 to a 6 seed.
That's how
where
I
it
feel.
feels like to me.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
And if you maybe 3 is dicey.
Yeah.
But again, if they get hot, right? And the thing about a couple years ago, and we'll get into it more on the other side, but the thing about a couple years ago, you had 2 outliers, right? You had Kevin Huerter having a career year, and you had Keegan Murray, who was just hot all season long. Those things very similar to the Giants when they won 107 games. I think they had the most pinch hit home runs or something ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's just not scalable.
No.
You know, I mean, it's just you can't measure that, right? To take it to the business tech terms, it's just not really Silicon Valley. It's just not really scalable.
Yeah,
DeMar DeRozan, what he does, it's scalable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Harrison Barnes, not necessarily scalable. It's up, it's down, it's all around. You have now something that is scalable. You know, barring health, what DeMar DeRozan will give you. You know what Sabonis will give you. You know what De'Aaron Fox will give you. If you decide to go with Malik Monk, you know what he'll give you. Just like we say, when somebody has a really good season, it's hard for them to replicate it. If you keep Kevin Huerter, he just had a really bad season. Probably hard for him to replicate that as well. So I think that it's hard for both of us to see things going as well for all other teams in the West next season and things going as poorly as it did for the Kings moving in to next season as well. Coming up next, Battle of NorCal Summer Edition. Should the Kings send their best possible squad to try to win the inaugural Battle of NorCal and that Mitch Richmond trophy? Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
The only place you'll find Kevin Huerter is Sacktown Sports.
Huerter's open, steps into 3. He's got the triple.
Hey, Sacramento, it's Kevin Huerter, and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings, Sacktown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
This segment is brought to you by Kia of Vacaville. Check them out at kiavacaville.com.
I juggle a lot. I'm managing constipation with belly pain from my irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, with laxatives and fiber isn't enough. My doctor recommended a way to get ahead of it. Then I said yes to Linzess. Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
The following is a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test.
Sacktown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sacktown Sports and subscribe.
The Battle of NorCal Summer Edition, the Golden State Warriors and the Kings have announced that the winner of the California Classic Summer League matchup between the two teams, the inaugural Battle of NorCal, slated for Wednesday, July 10th at Chase Center, of course, will receive the Mitch Richmond Trophy, named in honor of the NBA Hall of Famer who made a significant impact on both franchises. I think it's really cool, Chris. The unique trophy shaped in the form of a palm tree, emblematic of both Sacramento and the San Francisco Bay Area. The original palm tree design will feature all white fronds, which will be replaced one by one on a yearly basis by a frond corresponding to the color of the winning team's uniform. Material will be presented to the winner of the annual Summer League contest in a special post-game ceremony. And your boy, Brandon Pajemski, says that he and Trace Jackson Davis, your other boy, will be there. Yes, me and Trace Jackson Davis are playing on Wednesday at Chase Center against the Kings. Everybody better pop out. Okay, Jack.
Come on. That's the most.
Everybody better pop out.
Yeah.
Everyone better pop out. Enough, Pajemski. You know he doesn't even think he should be playing in this, right?
Yeah, he's actually offended. He's
yes.
Like, this is him playing ball here. He's like, oh, yeah, no, actually, this is sick. This is super cool. Awesome.
Hey, better pop out.
Hey, yo, y'all better pop out to Chase Center.
Hey, we got the California Classic Battle of North.
It's about to be a classic out in Cali.
It's a movie. Will you stop it, Pajemski?
Wow. This is where the Warriors are at these days, that they're really sending guys straight from Team USA camp straight to go win the Mitch Richmond.
As of right now, he's a projected starter on the Warriors, and he's playing
crazy.
I guess
Keon, you can
I was gonna
maybe
say,
argue.
I literally was going to say, I guess Keon.
But whatever. You know, we're not out here saying Keon's part of the best rookie tandem backcourt of all. Whatever. Get out of here. I have a lot of issues with this, actually. Shocker. First off,
which part?
With the trophy, with the tournament, why is this in Golden State? Why is this is this not being hosted at the California Classic? First off, Sacramento started the California Classic, and the Warriors just hopped on because they want the revenue for it. B, nobody shows up to the Chase Center event anyway. No. So maybe that's what it was, is that this is, hey, maybe people will get excited and actually show up to Chase Center on a Tuesday or whatever, Wednesday, because of this, where we already know Sacramento is going to be popping on Tuesday regardless, so we don't have to give it to them. Mitch Richmond, love you, but you should have get some pull here and say this needs to be done in Sacramento. I was also listening to Kyle and Brendan. Shout out, they held down the fort on Thursday, and they were talking about this. And Kyle made the point: it needs to be. It's a cool idea, you know. Go look at a picture. You can find it on the Kings socials. It's a weird looking trophy. It's like an amber base, with like just gold wires coming out that have little flags on them that they're saying that the flags, which are currently white, which is its own joke, a trophy with white flags is just absolutely insane. But they're going to replace those white flags with the material of the jersey of the teams. Well, let's think about it here. The Kings are picking purple. 100%. No question about it. The Warriors probably won't pick blue because blue is pretty close to purple. What does that leave us with? Blue and yellow. So they're going to use yellow. It's going to be a purple and yellow trophy, which is then a Lakers trophy.
Right.
So we
and
have
a banner.
So
another banner.
I thought Kyle had a good solution, and he said, you know, we got to create a gradient. It's got to be red and black, or I'm sorry, black and purple, and blue and yellow, and it can't be just a purple patch and a yellow patch, or else then our Kings Warriors trophy becomes a Laker trophy.
It's just kind of unnecessary.
It's very unnecessary.
The whole thing, and I like random stuff like this, but maybe I feel this way because Devin Carter's not playing, and
that's another thing too. That's actually point 3. Thank you for reminding me. This is the Kings B team that's competing for this. We don't even get Keon Ellis competing.
So
this
it's
is
the team
Chase Center lineup.
It's already the team that's down there.
So this is where things get a little dicey.
Okay,
you're doing all the work for me.
Okay,
thank you so much. So Pajemski's clearly setting the precedent here. The team does not have to be the same team that you're necessarily running out right here today.
Right.
Brendan Nunez asked around, I will say, if there's a possibility that the Kings could send their A team because their game is on Tuesday and this battle for NorCal is on Wednesday. Is there a chance that maybe rosters can get manipulated and maybe the Kings can send out more of a popular, I won't say a better, but I'll say a more popular lineup out there? I'll just say that he wasn't told no. It was a little murky on the response that he was given, but he was not told no, that it is set in stone. So all I'm saying is, even though right now it is the B team, who knows? Maybe some chicanery can come around and the Kings can put together a nice little lineup. And that roster's done fine. So I'm not trying to say that roster is not capable of winning the Battle of NorCal, but maybe you want to send Keon Ellis out there or something like that to really defend the honor of Sacramento.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But the problem would be they would play 4 games in 5.
That's what I was going to say.
Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
And then they got to go to Vegas.
And then they have to go to Vegas. So how much do you care about the Mitch Richmond Trophy is really what it comes down to.
It's just sad. I mean, look where the Warriors
This is where they're at, man.
They're just trying to get
hang
something.
a banner for it. Come on, dude.
They should.
Could you imagine? Jeez,
they absolutely should.
That's
That
crazy.
is ridiculous. All right, we continue the conversation. We also get into some Giants and A's talk. We have all-stars. Do you even want Keon Ellis going to Chase Center? Okay, we have the Olympics going on. A couple guys dinged up already. Do you want that? That is the question. And then we have crosstalk at 1:45 with Whitey Gleason. Who is the best team in California right now? Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Subscribe to Sacktown Sports on YouTube and watch the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys. Live Monday through Friday from 6 to 6. Plus view archive shows and exclusive content.
Subscribe at youtube.com/Sacktown Sports.
I would end the day with sore feet, sore legs. The drugstore inserts that I was purchasing were really not very useful at all. I walked into the Good Feet store and the guy kind of grinned at me and said, I hear that a lot. I was living with chronic pain before going to the Good Feet store. Now I don't really have that problem. I'm able to do the things that I expect to be able to do, even at my advanced age. I feel pretty good about what's going on.
The Good Feet Store in Sacramento, Roseville, and Vacaville.
Go for the gold May 1st through July 27th during Sky River Casino's $1 million Road to Glory giveaway. Play daily for a chance to win free play, cash, or your choice of a Lincoln Nautilus, GMC Sierra, or Ford Mustang GT every Saturday. Get 100 bonus entries by earning 100 tier credits every Monday and Tuesday, plus 1 free daily entry at our promotional kiosks. Victory could be yours during the $1 million Road to Glory giveaway at Sky River Casino. Visit skyriver.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Coach Doug Christie here to let you know it's the 4th of July Sell-a-thon at Folsom Lake Ford. All your favorite models are on sale. Get 0 down deals on approval of credit right now. Hurry to Folsom Lake Ford.
Tune in to Sacktown Sports now through July 9th for all your coverage of the California Classic, brought to you in part by Fasteners Inc. DeWalt Power Tools. Tools at an incredibly low cost to you. Fasteners Inc. Tool Outlet. Better tools, better prices.
Sponsored by Xfinity Internet. Enjoy ultimate control of your home network. Personalize your Wi-Fi name and password. Assign user profiles. View and control connected devices and more with the Xfinity Internet app.
Tune in to Sacktown Sports now through July 9th for all your coverage of the California Classic, brought to you in part by Clean California. Remember, just one piece of litter can ruin the game. 0 litter is the goal. Tune in to Sacktown Sports now through July 9th for all your coverage of the California Classic, brought to you in part by Alsco Uniforms, proud partner of the Sacramento Kings. Discover why it pays to keep clean with Alsco Uniforms.
And it looks like it's going to start maybe getting some legs. This is from Ryan Blackburn, Denver Nuggets for Mile High Sports, and NBA for the Alley-Oop Pod. This was an hour ago. The Nuggets and Jamal Murray have not yet agreed to a contract extension. Negotiations are still ongoing, but there's a possibility that this becomes a bigger story than anticipated after Shams declared an expected deal on draft night.
Interesting. So some hold up in Titletown.
He is confusing. I mean, that's a perfect situation where he's going to want to get paid elite money because he's a champion because of what he did. But I don't know if he's worth elite money.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. That might be a mess around and find out kind of situation where you're like, oh, no. Like, you guys should value me. I brought you a title. And then it's like, okay, well, go find your value.
Yeah,
because
you are nobody's number one.
No, I wouldn't think so. And, I no disrespect, but I don't know how many number twos he would be. Like, I think he would be a lot, but I don't think he would be a number two on a championship level for a lot of teams, not in the same way he is in Denver.
So you're saying
if he is your number two, I would think
you better have a number one as good as Jokic.
As good as Jokic, exactly.
Right.
Like, he's a good Kyrie replacement, but I don't know how many other situations.
The Mavs going as far with Kyrie and Luka as they did with Kyrie and Jamal as they did with Kyrie
possibly,
and
but I think in a crazy enough way, you could say that Kyrie's more reliable than Jamal, right? Like, Jamal keeps getting injured at the worst moments, and last year too, isn't that what happened? Didn't Jamal get hurt kind of in the middle towards the end of last season and kind of threw the Denver off the rails a bit? I think that's definitely something to monitor for sure. Not only because of the Jamal Murray side of it, but because who knows if Denver might get into a fire sale themselves. And we know at last year's All-Star break, there was a lot of rumors, way too many rumors about how comfortable Jokic and Luka were. That could potentially be the start of the demise of the Denver Nuggets, a dynasty that never came to be, honestly.
So this is the same thing. This is the same thing as I think De'Aaron Fox, because he's under contract this coming season, and then he would be a free agent this whole season. It would be a contract year if he doesn't take this extension, which I would assume then they would try to offer him again.
I would guess so, yeah.
He would just say, I want to test free agency at that point.
Yeah, maybe he's doing the same as De'Aaron, and he's thinking, I can reach all NBA too and maybe get more money.
He's making 30. I mean, I think this is pretty fair. It's gone up every season as it typically does, 27, 29, 31, 33. He made 33 last season, and this coming season he's going to make 36. That feels pretty. I
was going to say, yeah. Like, he can start to maybe touch 40s, but when you're getting into like the max $50-60 million guys, like, it's still to the point where, like we've been here in Sacramento, like you can have Jamal Murray and pay him a good bit, but you also need to make sure that you're not paying him so much that you can't add to the talent around him, where it's almost like, it might even be like a Brock Purdy situation to where there's got to be a perfect number for Jamal Murray, because he's definitely somebody who impacts winning a lot. But, if you start to enter a different tax bracket as an NBA player, well, part of the thing that made you great was your contract allowed us to kind of build other pieces around you. And if we're now saying, hey, no, Jamal, we don't have the money to pay you, KCP, and Bruce Brown, we need you to fill in all those holes, I don't know if Jamal can necessarily pick up that kind of slack.
Yeah, and based on the TV deal and how much money is going to be made, I'm looking here, if you're Jamal Murray and you see some of these numbers, I get it, right? I mean, Tyrese Halliburton is making $48 million.
For sure.
Damian Lillard is making 43. Luka is making 43. Trae Young is making 43.
Yeah.
Fred VanVleet making 42. Here's
That's around where I feel like he should be.
Yeah, I mean, LaMelo is making 40. Tyrese is making 40. Kyrie is making 40.
Yeah.
Garland's making 39. Sure, I'll put you there. All those guys have played more than you besides LaMelo, though.
Yep, that's a fact. 100%. I definitely think Jamal is a player that's worthy of the pay raise, but I mean, if Jamal's expecting to reach the 50s or get a Jaylen Brown type contract, I just don't think that's coming for him. And again, point guards are to an extent a dime a dozen these days. You can find a really high level point guard or somebody who's at that level. Like, how much worse do you think Denver would be if they traded for Darius Garland? If they replaced, now I think they would be maybe a little bit worse, but I don't know if significant enough to where, it's taking you out of the conversation. I don't know if Jamal Murray is untouchable, irreplaceable. And I think Jamal is trying to obviously place himself in that kind of category, but I don't know if Denver's ever going to buy that.
No, you can find somebody to do what he has done. Real quick on the text line before we get into this Giants and A's All-Star stuff. We'll break this down a little bit more tomorrow, but honestly, there's not a ton to break down. There's not huge write-ups behind this, as we teased. Monty Poole of NBC Sports 530 says, didn't NBC Sports rank the Warriors above the Kings next year after the DeRozan trade?
Sure did.
Yes, they did. So we have it up here right now, and it's very simple. Like I said, it is not. There is not a ton written on any of the teams. The Sacramento Kings come in at 16. A backcourt featuring De'Aaron Fox and DeMar DeRozan means buckets. The return of Malik Monk means more buckets. Domantas Sabonis will have some 15 assist games, but Coach Mike Brown will continue to seek defense. That's it. This is what Monty Poole had to say for the Warriors. Losing Klay Thompson hurts, but the front office did a fine job restocking the roster. They'll need Steph Curry and Draymond Green to be available and cooking to make the playoffs, and another star to make a run. So if they have to cook to make the playoffs, basically you have the Kings in playing village.
Yeah, that's where that's going at. Yeah, which, I mean, we've talked about it, but I just don't agree with. And, he
has a Knicks number 2. He has the Thunder number 3. Oh, obviously he has the Celtics number 1.
Yeah.
Thunder number 3, Sixers number 4, Mavericks number 5.
My goodness.
Timberwolves number 6, Nuggets number 7, Bucks number 8, Magic number 9, Pacers number 10, Pelicans number 11, Suns 12, Cavs 13, Grizzlies 14, and then Warriors 15 and 16. So, it's hard to, yeah.
How the Kings defeat the Warriors in the play-in tournament. They are the better seed than the Warriors heading into the play-in tournament. Mm-hmm. The Warriors haven't done a single thing this offseason.
Splash buddies.
But lose Klay Thompson
and
replace him with Buddy Hield and sure DeAnthony Melton and Kyle Anderson. And the Kings make a swing for their biggest free agent addition possibly in franchise history, and that somehow puts the Kings behind the Warriors. The math ain't mathing on that one. Gonna have to explain that one. And, I get it. It's an adjustment period. At some point here, ESPN and NBC Sports, I'll come down your road for a second. Warriors coverage is gonna have to slow down at some point here. Okay,
yes.
It's gotta. There's another team in the Northern California that you're gonna have to cover. And
how long are we gonna do this?
This is ridiculous. I mean, come on. This is just like, we're not being serious here. I get that this is NBC Sports definitely thrives off of their Bay Area coverage more than their NBC Sports California coverage, but come on, what are we doing here? That's just not being serious. And you're just not being serious.
No, he has the Heat at number 17.
You're being asked to not be taken seriously.
The Lakers at number 18. The Rockets at number 19. The Clippers at number 20. And I'm not high on the Clippers either, but
that's crazy.
And then the rest are just bad teams.
For sure. I get that there's optimism around the Warriors situation, but you have to be real about it. And there's just no way you can have them above the Kings. I think it's even a tough conversation to have them above the Lakers and the Clippers for sure. I mean, I think the Clippers, they lost Paul George, but I know there's the easy argument to make of Kawhi not playing games, but even then I would say their roster is more talented than what Golden State has going on. So, to me, that's them trying to get their clicks, and good job. You got it. But that's y'all need to, at some point here, start to switch up because it's already happened.
Yeah. I mean, we understand where you're trying to come from, but I mean, I guess it's just the power of Steph. But I think that De'Aaron Fox adding DeMar DeRozan, I just don't think it's really close. I don't know how high up the Kings should be, because I do think you could have a question there, but I think it's more of an issue of the Warriors being too high.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I just don't see how you can, even if you have them, I just don't see how you can have the Warriors above the Kings. Like, even if you have the Warriors at 16 and the Kings at 15, I would still, to your point, I would have questions of why you have the Warriors that high, but at the very least I could live with it because the rationale still makes sense. You can make an argument for the Lakers taking a step back and the Clippers losing Paul George and that really affecting them too much, but there's no way you can say last year, the Kings were clearly the better team all season long. At the end of the season, when they played a head-to-head, the Kings were much better than them. In the offseason, the Kings have done much better than Golden State has. I haven't even mentioned the addition of Devin Carter as well, as the Warriors didn't get a rookie. I just don't see how you could possibly come to the conclusion of having the Warriors as a more promising outlook than the Kings right now. That's absolutely insane. And that's with the hype of the DeMar trade as well. Like, that's you saying, wow, I know I'm trying to not get swept up in the moment.
Clearly doesn't like, I mean, he Sam Quinn, maybe same idea.
There you go.
A's Giants All-Stars have been announced. Logan Webb makes his first All-Star game appearance. And we love Logan Webb. He follows me on social media. Logan Webb, a 3.09 ERA over a National League high 119 and a third innings. He has completed at least 7 innings 11 times this year, the most in the majors. It's an honor to be able to say that I'm an all-star, Webb said. I wasn't expecting anything. I was going into it saying whatever happens, happens. If I don't pitch, it's going to be like 9 or 10 days off, he said. I don't know who makes that decision, but I'd love to throw in it. Also from Elliot Ramos, first homegrown outfielder to make the All-Star team for the Giants since Chili Davis in 1986.
Seems bad. Seems bad.
Didn't make his season debut until May 8th, batting .299. That's my batting average from Temple, with a 887 OPS and 12 home runs, tied with Matt Chapman for the team lead. In the time since his recall, he leads the NL in RBIs. He has been on the 36 homer, 123 RBI pace over the past 2 months. That would be the first time they get over 30 since Barry Bonds. Crazy. We'll see if it actually happens. And last, but certainly not least, rookie phenom Mason Miller for the A's makes his first All-Star team, the first rookie reliever to be selected to the All-Star game since David Bednar of the Pirates in 2021, and the first A's rookie reliever since Ryan Cook in 2012. This season, Miller has recorded 278 pitches over 100 miles per hour or greater and 14 saves, which leads all big league rookies. Miller won the American League Relief Pitcher of the Month honors for March and April. There you go. And these feel real.
Yes, I was like, no surprises there.
Yeah. Oh, every team needs to be represented.
No disrespect to Brett Rooker, but come on. Mason Miller's an all-star.
Mason Miller is a stud. Elliot Ramos is a stud. Logan Webb is a stud. NorCal being very represented before the NorCal battle on Wednesday. Don't get us started on that again. All right. Oh, wait. Hold on. From the 5-3-0, you guys are going crazy. The Lakers taking a step back. I don't think we ever said that. We actually said the Lakers should be ahead of the Warriors, but I'll continue. They got the prodigy, Bronny James, who earned his own guaranteed contract as a late 50s pick. Let's go, bro Nepo James. I think they were trolling.
That's a troll.
Nicely done.
I'm sort of LeBron James, of the station. Trying to boost the rating.
Where is he? All right. Thank you, 5-3-0. Coming up next, we have Crosstalk. Who is the best team in California? Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Keegan Murray plays here.
Keegan scores another three-pointer. Keegan Murray knocking it down for 23 points. Match De'Aaron Fox for game scoring honors.
Sacktown Sports is your proud home of the Sacramento Kings.
Power Business Technology is proud to be 100% independent, locally owned, and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a 2022 Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer. Contact us today for all of your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Slash presents Serpent Festival, a celebration of the blues. Friday, July 12th at the venue at Thunder Valley, starring Slash, Warren Haynes Band,
Beautifully broken.
Samantha Fish,
Y'all guesses like a death wish.
and Eric Gales.
It's gonna be a steep climb.
Don't miss an all-star night of blues, Friday, July 12th at the venue at Thunder Valley. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. Serpent Festival.
The Open Championship celebrates its 152nd anniversary this month at Royal Troon in Scotland. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. The game's top players assemble for a chance at the coveted Claret Jug. The Open Championship is about tradition excellence, and class. And you'll find similar qualities at Naturewood Home Furnishings as they assemble the finest furniture and brand choices for your selection. When you visit Naturewood, you'll be amazed at the gallery of superior furniture available for your lifestyle, for your decor, for your home. This weekend during Naturewood's bedroom sale, you're sure to find the perfect piece you've been searching for. Naturewood is proud to bring you Open Championship updates on this station and proud to offer you the finest furnishings available. Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the Waterville. There is a different vibe at night at the Hagen Oaks Range powered by Top Tracer. It's more relaxed with golfers and newbies side by side enjoying the technology used on televised golf tournaments. Play a variety of fun games. Play Pebble Beach. Compete against friends at the Hagen Oaks Driving Range. Or treat yourself to 9 holes on the Mackenzie putting course. Hungry? The Hangout Food Truck offers burgers, chicken strips, and more. And don't forget to check the summer-long free concert schedule at the Hagen Oaks Driving Range, Fulton Avenue at Cap City Freeway.
Your water heater, old, rusty, forgotten, we hardly ever even think about them until there's no hot water. Right now, get incredible rebates up to $3,000 off and financing available for as little as $40 a month. Leave it to Bonnie to crank up the heat.
Live and local. This is Sacktown Sports.
In with Whitey Gleason of the Drive Guys. Whitey Gleason comes in and just steals the show, says he has... Says
you can't steal the show with what you do before the show's back on the air.
No, well, you said I'm stealing the show now, and you have... Whitey knows I'm terrible at sports trivia, so Whitey wants to do some sports trivia.
I said I have a great trivia question for you guys if you want it. Mr. Watkins suggested that he would like to hear it.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
He's probably the only one in this room that has a chance to get it right. So
sure. Let's hear it.
Yeah, you know, with DeRozan coming to Sacramento, I've been doing a lot of reading about guys shooting threes and how the three has evolved. You know, he's not great at shooting threes and how that all fits together. So he is not the answer to this question. But the question is, I ran across this today reading the book Who Batless, which is a great book. Who's the only guy in NBA history? He's active now. He's the only guy in NBA history who has 5 seasons in which he's made more than 100 threes. And he also has 5 seasons in which he hasn't made any threes. How about that?
I think I have an idea.
Yeah, I have an idea.
But I don't know if if he's made this many.
5 seasons with more than 100 threes made, and also 5 other seasons without any threes made. What do you got?
I think Chris is going to guess the same
I would
thing as me.
guess Brook Lopez.
That's it.
Yep, that's what I was going to guess.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So you guys both got it,
That's
basically.
my guy.
Well, it was just about guys that had to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
He's really the only. Are there any reinventors? Who are the other reinventors still hanging around?
Still hanging around. There's not
Horford
much.
a little bit.
Horford
Horford, was one of those guys that he didn't make his first 3 until it was like his 3rd year in the league.
Yeah.
And, now he tends to shoot a lot of threes. So.
Right. Vince Carter was one. He's done now, though.
Yeah. You guys were all over it.
Well, I mean, Chris, when it comes to Brook Lopez, I think I know all things Brook Lopez, thanks to Chris.
Absolutely.
And former King Robin Lopez.
That's right. Yeah. Don't forget about that former King. Yeah. No, I mean, definitely. So are you saying, was that just a random trivia you stumbled upon, or are you doing
ran
some
across
more
it,
Brook Lopez?
No, I just
research?
ran across it today and I thought, wow, that's a good one. And it wasn't tough enough for you guys.
Not tough enough.
Not getting past us, buddy.
And now you're going to have people bringing up Brook Lopez again to pick up. But yeah, that 1 year for, what was it, 23 million, Chris?
23, I think it is. Yeah, 22 or 23. It's just it's a little pricey for a 37-year-old center who's I'd assume you come in to be pretty much a backup.
Is Kuzma still in play, and do the Kings still have any of the MLE left?
They do still have some of. I don't understand how they have the full MLE when they went from having 9.5 million of it, but yeah, they still have the MLE. I do think that they kicked the tires on Kuzma, and I think that's probably still the route that they would prefer to go. But to the bigger point, I think that there's still another move that they're trying to look at. I don't know necessarily what caliber of player, though.
I agree with you about them needing a 4.
Yeah, like an actual 4. Not like these threes, not these tall threes, which it feels like Kuzma kind of tends to play more like.
A 3.5.
3.5? Yeah, sure. Yeah.
3.3
maybe like a 3.75, honestly.
Sounds like my GPA. Well, Whitey, when it comes to that's right.
Let me tell you.
That's an odd flex.
Yeah, well, I remember. Whitey, when it comes to whether or not the Kings make another move, though, right now, Monty Poole had the Kings at 16 behind the Warriors in a power ranking.
You got a little upset about that.
No, I don't do upset. I don't do upset.
You think deep down he was like, yes, the Warriors are ahead of the
No,
Kings.
stop that now.
If
the Kings don't make another move, where would you, as it stands right now, where would you rank them in the West, in California? Where would you rank the Kings?
Let's see.
Do you still think they can mess around and end up in the play-in? Is probably an easier way to ask.
I mean, it's possible. I think obviously they improve. They right now they're a solid contender for 6. Hard to see them in the top 4. I think it's pretty apparent that another move just kind of is there to be made. You look at this roster, it's like, but I wouldn't be surprised if they take their time, maybe even into the deadline before they decide what to do.
Is there a name that you feel like sticks out? I mean, I've seen Isaiah Stewart's name start to be.
I hadn't heard that a lot, and I heard you talk about that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, just kind of like more of a forward-minded guy, and
yeah,
someone who can stretch the floor still.
I heard you talk about that.
Maybe play behind some.
All of a sudden, he's shooting from deep.
Yeah, I had no idea. We looked at it, I think, on Wednesday right before we went off, and I was a little surprised to see that. Yeah, Isaiah Stewart from 3 has been these past 2 seasons. He shot 38% last year on 3.8 threes. Season before 32% on 4, but he's drastically increased that volume the past 2 seasons, and he shot it somewhere in between. We'll just call it 35% over the past 2 seasons. So it's some mild improvement there, but I think he's physically the kind of guy that I think the Kings are looking for. I would think.
You know what I really remember about him? His first couple years, because he was 20 something drafted his first round, but late
was picked 16.
Okay, and Wiseman went second. So I remember when they would play against each other, you could see that Beef Stew wasn't happy about that.
Yeah.
He would destroy Wiseman the first 2 years. Yeah.
I'm seeing it here. He was the number 2 ranked recruit in 2019. I wonder if that had anything to do with it because he was behind James Wiseman.
Yeah. And Wiseman was still trying to get his bearings a little bit and struggling, and Beef Stew would destroy him when they played the Warriors.
I don't think I knew Isaiah Stewart was that highly recruited or like that highly touted coming out of high school. Kind of makes me feel better about him. I kind of thought that he was like a gritty guy that kind of found his way into the league a bit.
Let's do it, Alan.
He's number 2.
Let's do it. I mean, that edge.
High level talent.
Everybody has been talking about Beef Stew, and I'm not really sure what the Pistons are attempting to do right now.
No clue.
But they're on my list as well as far as what's the plan or what are we doing?
No idea.
If I'm going to put it like that. Whitey, you're wearing your San Diego shirt.
I didn't even know. I just grabbed something.
Yeah, that's great. That flag looks like the flag on the Mitch Richmond trophy. That's what it looks like. Whitey,
that trophy you're talking about?
Yeah,
I've got about 12 of those when I was pitching quarters at the Solano County Fair.
Yeah,
I was 12. Here, Mom, here's another vase for you.
Speaking of
picture that you posted, I was like, what? Come on.
State Fair's around the corner. I will be there. But
have you been to the State Fair?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I went 2 years ago.
Yeah. It's something.
It's hot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's hot.
It's a test of endurance.
I'm there all day.
Even when it's not hot, it still feels like it's hot there.
It's just sticky.
Crazy.
I'm there all day. I'm there all day.
A lot of metal.
We'll talk more as we get closer. Whitey, fair or foul, some of these people saying that DeMar DeRozan is quote unquote coming home when he's 7 hours away from his home.
Yeah, that's foul. That's foul ball.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's not even close. We don't even need to do a review on that one.
Thank you.
That's foul ball.
Quick check.
It's a nice thought and everything. It's just not actually true.
Well, you reminded me of it because you were in the October Rise, and I said, well, with the Padres, I said, well, if Reese Hoskins signed to the Padres, would people say, man, Reese is coming home.
Right.
I'm coming home. Coming.
You got to take a plane and still get home.
Yeah. That reminds me, years ago, there was it Kevin Sutherland, who's a golfer from Sacramento, and he was playing like the Pebble Beach. And who's the guy from Australia? Anyway, he was a golf announcer. And he says, well, you did great. San Diego, just down the road. And I'm like, just down the road.
It's like
San
Stockton,
Diego's
it's a quick half-hour drive.
Did this whole thing start? And correct me if I'm wrong. Did this start with when we talk about most influential people or players? And I've said, well, LeBron, I don't really know as far as influence for me because he's just a unicorn.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. But for certain other things, the way he handled player power and player empowerment. Do you remember prior to LeBron, was there he's coming home thing? But like it got really big after LeBron went back to the Cavs, and it's Kawhi's going home to LA. I just don't recall it being that big of a deal, or he's gonna go home. I don't remember that before LeBron.
It's something I think even baseball teams going way back. I mean, it was always a nice spin for teams to put on something.
Yeah.
This guy struggled here, but now this is where he's from. And, sometimes it didn't matter if the guy was done, he was done.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different because, like you say, it's the era of player empowerment. By the way, one thing about LeBron, as I mentioned, doing a lot of research on threes, did you know LeBron by far is the all-time leader, by far, in assists on threes?
Really?
By far. Because
spray threes.
Yes. And I think DeRozan has to get a ton of those.
No, I'm sort of LeBron James,
that's right.
Of the station.
A lot of sprays going on there. A lot of spray threes going on there.
A lot of spray. I don't know about the threes.
All right. Nate says we're out of here. Drive guys up
Everything
next.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Drive guys up next. Whitey Gleason, Kyle Draper, continuing the DeMar DeRozan talk.
Yay!
Updates on Devin Carter and everything else, King Sports and everything in between.
Jordan McLaughlin.
And Jordan McLaughlin. They were listening to Stiles and Watkins. Thanks, Nate.
Trying to find out where to catch your favorite team's games?
Are you a fan of the Kings?